What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast show. I am one of your hosts, 617. This guy over here to my left is Puppet Master 2191. And tonight we have a different spin on the wrestling review podcast that we're doing. We are going back in time with what we call the Retro Review podcast, where we took some matches that were significant to us or matches that we really enjoyed when we were growing up, and we rewatched them as adults. Back then it was one thing. When you watch it now, it's two different things. So that's basically what we have in store for you tonight. Puppet, how long have you been watching wrestling?
I turned 34 Saturday. I was officially 6 months old when I started wrestling, so almost 34 years.
I turned 38 in December. I've been watching wrestling since I was about 4. So I got you beat. About 34 years. It goes back, man. Way fucking back, dude.
So the whole reason I say I was 6 months old, and there is a story to that. As a baby, I was a really lazy baby. I would not sit up. I would not even crawl. I would just lay there. I didn't have any interest in anything. And my mom got frustrated one day, and she was flipping through the channels on a Saturday night, and Saturday Night Main Event happened to be on. And as soon as she stopped there just to kind of see what was going on, and she said she looked down at the floor, and I'd done pulled myself up and sitting there staring at the TV. She changed the channel, and I flopped right back down, didn't move. She switched it back and watched me sit up and stare at the TV. So I've been watching wrestling since I was 6 months old.
Great. That's just great.
I don't know why, but that's how it worked.
I can remember when I was like the earliest recollection I have is like when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and me and my brother were watching. Shit, I don't even remember what it was. I was born 82, so it was like 86, 87. I think it was like Royal Rumble or something. It was back before pay-per-view was invented and shit. When it was just like right there on cable TV, and anybody could watch it as long as you had cable TV. It was like there was the normal stuff that they had, and then you had the big culminated event and everything on Sunday night and everything. And I can remember me and my brother watching something. I remember Hulk Hogan coming out, but that's pretty much like all that I remember of my childhood. But I've been watching this shit. I got hardcore and heavy back in like 90, 95, 96, 97 and everything, and then kind of fizzled out of it. And over the last probably 10 years or so, I watch bits and pieces of it here and there and everything. But yeah, shit's changed from back then to now. So
yeah.
For our first match.
Oh, there's been a lot that changed.
Oh yeah.
Shit! You know what? We didn't even think about covering WrestleMania 3, Hogan slams Andre, or.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll put that
oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyways,
we'll make a list of the next cast, and we'll do that. Actually, our next podcast is going to be
Survivor.
Yeah, Survivor Series, and then the one after that we'll do promos.
I'm telling you, at some point, I feel like we should really do an AEW review. Yeah. So we'll figure something out to where we can watch, and it may not even have to be one of their more recent shows. I've got Double or Nothing 2020.
Right.
Hell, I'll give you the login. We can sit and watch it one night and review it. I don't care. But I genuinely think you'll enjoy AEW a whole lot.
Yeah, a lot of the people that I liked in WWE when they got released, they went to AEW. I just haven't really gotten into AEW. I never really got into New Japan. I never really got into Ring of Honor. I definitely didn't get into TNA at all. I couldn't get over the 8-sided ring.
The 6-sided.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that. I don't know what it was. It didn't click for me.
So oddly enough, like the 6-sided ring I was used to. But that's because I've said this many times. I watch wrestling. Right. Like I watch wrestling. In Mexico, AAA is a 6-sided ring.
Yeah.
CMLL is a 6-sided or 4-sided ring, depending on what arena they're in. So I was used to seeing a 6-sided ring. Now to TNA's, benefit,
Yeah.
that wasn't something normal for US seeing in wrestling, but and they worked that ring really well. So
Right. I bet it took them guys a lot to get used to that, especially going from a 20 by 20 in WWE and a 16 by 16 in WCW to this 6-sided ring. I bet it took a lot for them to get used to that, to try and figure out,
oh
okay, how's this going to work?
oh yeah. And not only that, but there's been people who went from WWE to TNA when they had the 6-sided ring, and they made the statement that that top rope,
Yeah.
because the angle of that is a wider angle, so it's harder to find your balance.
Right.
Which is interesting to hear. So,
Bobby, I got a question. You got enough game fuel behind you?
man, all of those are empty. Let's see. Like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's roughly about 3 cases worth of empty cans.
Damn, dude.
So I've had every flavor of game fuel that has been made, and out of every flavor, I made sure to keep 4 cans each.
Let's see. It looks like you got what, peanut butter next to
Yep,
the Dr. Pepper can.
Peanut butter, just in case my sugar starts crashing and I can't figure out what I want to eat. I just peanut butter it.
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's kick this show off. Let's go back. Survivor Series 1994. Was this the first casket match, or was just the second one that the WWE had with Undertaker versus Yokozuna?
I think it was the second, honestly, but I think it was also the first, because I want to say Kamala was the first.
Yeah, November 25th, 1992, the Undertaker's casket match versus
Should have been Kamala.
Ugandan Kamala, yeah. The giant
Kamala.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That was the first one. It didn't get a lot of traction because, I mean, stop and think. Taker debuted in 90.
Right.
Roundabouts. Survivor Series of 90.
Right.
So, he really hadn't, by 92, everyone knew who The Undertaker was, but he wasn't as
big.
Like, he just had made that turn to where he was a crowd favorite at the time.
Right. Right. So the casket match was something new, but it didn't go over well. And then, fast forward 2 years later, he's having a feud with Yokozuna, and they bring up another casket match. It takes place in Survivor Series of 94. And apparently there was some beef going on in a previous event that happened between these two. So they brought in the special guest enforcer, Chuck Norris.
Let me tell you,
San Antonio, Texas. He's a Texas native and whatnot. So they brought Chuck Norris down to a loud pop.
Let me tell you, Chuck Norris, you don't mess with Chuck because you'll die. Like,
exactly.
there's a book about it. It's crazy. In fact, we watched him kick the soul out of Jeff Jarrett. It was crazy.
Like, as he's coming down, the announcers are going on about Chuck Norris and everything, and they're like, the guys in the back were warned that he's been given full authority to do what he needs to do to make sure nobody interferes. And, they interviewed people during the event trying to see, how do you feel about Chuck Norris and everything, and, only 2 people, I think it was 2 people, King Kong Bundy and Bam Bam Bigelow, that both said they weren't afraid of Chuck Norris. So, match gets underway. Well, Yokozuna comes out first. He comes out with the Mouth of the South.
No.
No, he just comes out with Jimmy Cornette.
He came out Cornette and Funaki.
Yeah, Mr. Fuji.
Fuji.
They come out, they do their whole thing, and then, of course, the the gong hits and the lights go down and all the smoke comes up and here comes the Undertaker. You know, the what I like most about this particular entrance for him, you know, it doesn't have all the lightning pyro and stuff that they have nowadays. It's more dark and sinister and reflects around the character that he is. He comes out, you know, he's got that the purple gloves, the black and purple, basically the big ass purple tie, which I loved on him back in the day. I don't know what it was about that tie. It's just the fact that it was oversized, something you'd see on a fucking clown that you see on the Undertaker. And then off to the best part about it is when the TVs in the center split, and then he comes walking out, and then off to the side here comes Paul Bearer with this fucking oversized casket and a big ass fucking urn sitting on top of it, and they go walking down to the ring.
Okay, so there's and now I remember why that entrance was like that, because this match actually stems from their first match, which was at the Royal Rumble of '94. Which ended with a bunch of the heels coming out and all of them ganging up on Undertaker and shoved him in a casket. And they also destroyed the urn. The urn had this green smoke coming out of it, which was kind of weird. But while they were all pushing the casket up the entryway, and then the Undertaker appears on the screen from inside the casket. And then there was this really weird light mirror effect that it made it look like the Undertaker was literally just phasing out of the casket and growing to this gargantuan size. And then he was gone. Like, Taker was gone. No matches from Undertaker after Rumble. No appearances from Taker after Rumble. It was legitimately he was gone, because SummerSlam is when they had Leslie Nielsen, I think. Yeah, pretty sure that's who it was. The one that did the oh hell, I can't, the Naked Gun or whatever.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
So they had him do this entire leading into SummerSlam and during SummerSlam, where he was in search of the Undertaker. Which then Undertaker appears and sets up for the feud to go into Survivor Series of that year for the casket match, because there's unfinished business there.
Right.
So that was kind of the backstory, and I forgot about that until we watched it again, and I because I remember I made a statement of that urn is just obnoxiously oversized.
Right. I kind of see, like, you got to have the casket oversized.
Right.
For me, when he came out with that casket, you kind of knew who was going to win the match based on the size of the fucking casket. You know, you can't just wheel a normal sized casket down when you got a guy that weighs almost 600 pounds in the ring. He's not going to fit in the fucking thing. So, at that point, looking back on it, I'm watching this thing, and it's like, I already knew in my head, but that was a dead giveaway. You got a casket that's going to fit a 600-pound man. There's no way in hell that a 260-pound man is just going to go in this casket and lose and whatnot. Plus, the symbolicness of the urn being oversized is, I'm guessing they're wanting to say, like, you know, once he's in the casket, then, you know, when he's cremated, all of his ashes are going to fill up the entire urn or some shit like that. I don't know.
Essentially, the way that I've understood the lore of the Undertaker, the urn was synonymous with, if you recall in one of his promos more recently, he makes a statement of, "I've been digging holes and taking souls."
Yeah.
Since like 1990.
Yeah.
Well, the urn was the holding place for all of the souls, the lost souls, which was the power of the Undertaker. that's the lore of it, and it's always the Undertaker character. And I've got a feeling we'll end up doing just a podcast, doing an episode that's just Taker
Just
related.
Taker, yeah.
But
with
like
everything that's going on and whatnot, yeah.
the stories of that and that character and how he carried that character for 30 years,
Right.
never breaking, as they say, never breaking kayfabe. He was Taker 24/7 unless he was at home and there was no way anyone was seeing him.
Exactly.
It didn't matter where he was. He was Taker.
Could you imagine him being at home, cutting the grass, and having to be in the big ass trench coat and the uniform and shit? And anytime his neighbors came out, he had to stay in character around his neighbors.
And see, the funny...
Just imagine Undertaker out on a riding lawnmower cutting his grass.
So the funny thing about that is, like, it wasn't required that he do that. Like, he did that on his own.
Right.
Because when he got the character, he was like, oh, well, hey, I'm going to make this work one way or another. So,
right, exactly.
I'm all in.
You might as well. I mean, you're talking back in the day, there was no internet, so you couldn't look these guys up to find out what their real name was. Nobody knew who these people were unless you knew them personally, if you lived next door to them or something. So, I mean, back then, that's the way it was most of the time. I can't remember who it was. They talked to somebody during one of his heel runs, and he was like, he made a comment that he hated the fact that he was a heel, because when he's walking through the airport, he's generally a nice person, but you're in the age before social media, and what they see on TV, I think it was Piper, he said what they see on TV, they expect in the airport. So when a fan walks up to you in the airport, you can't just say, hi, how you doing, have a conversation, shake his hand, and sign an autograph. Like, if you're a heel, you got to be an asshole to that person to keep that heat. Because you never know. That person could be at the show. And then when you come out, all he's got to say is he's got to tell one person that, hey, he's actually a nice person. And then all of a sudden, your heel run is over based on that one interaction. And like Piper was saying, he loved being the heel, but he hated being the heel outside of the ring. He's like, nowadays, it doesn't matter if you're a heel or not because social media is out there. So people know. But nowadays, people can differentiate how you are outside the ring and how you are when you're actually performing and everything.
Yeah, like that, and that's the big thing. Like,
what's up, Tara? Yeah, kayfabe was the days, man.
Yes.
Kayfabe is sort of still alive. I mean, you look at Randy Orton. Randy Orton's keeping that kayfabe kind of going with his feud with McIntyre through social media and everything.
Yeah, but you also to say, then you turn around and see on Instagram where his wife's giving him RKO into a pool, and it's just kind of like, there goes.
He's playing with his kids, and his kids are RKOing him on the bed and everything, and yeah.
Now, granted, okay, here's I'm kind of 50-50. I miss the days of kayfabe, and I don't miss the days of kayfabe. I miss the days of kayfabe because that's when storytelling was key.
Right.
Was so important in the matches. But on the same hand, I like being able to see this person, who they are outside of the ring.
Right.
Because they now have that option to share who they really are without it being bum rushed in an airport. Hey, can I get your autograph? Hey, can I do this? Or if they're eating with their family getting bumped. Now, granted, okay, yeah, they're still going to get rushed, in those instances. But now you have more of a personal, a way to see what they do besides the abuse to their body.
Exactly. It's like Stephanie McMahon says on her Twitter, I get to play a bad guy on TV, but I'm a nice person outside. So, I mean, it's just, you got to do what you got to do in the ring to get heat. And it's, you talk about like kayfabe, like social media and everything, like you got the whole storyline between, like we'll go back to Lana and Rusev. When they were breaking up on TV, and then 2 days after, they did their whole little breakup thing on TV, on social media, it goes live that they're engaged to be married. And at that point, WWE got pissed because they had to
change the story.
Change the storyline. So that's when they brought what's his name, man, Bobby Lashley back in, and they did that whole story and everything just to punish Rusev. And doing that cost him a chance to main event at Mania at the same time.
Like,
because he was on track to headline to main event Mania to win the title and shit, but when they did that off the air,
look, I'm going to say this because I see it in the chat. One of my favorite segments, like fluff segments, is wrestling weddings. I absolutely love them because shit is fixing to go crazy. Right. You just don't know what's going crazy. Is the bride coming out of the closet? Is the groom coming out of the closet? Are they both coming out of the closet? Is someone actually someone else the preacher and not the real preacher? Who's in the cake? Where's the cake going? Like, I enjoy those.
My favorite, like one of my favorites, is Stephanie McMahon versus Tess, and then Triple H shows up on the Titantron and plays the video of him and Stephanie that drive to the chapel in Vegas getting married.
that was great.
God, there was another one. There was another one. It was
Well, you also got to stop and think the Billy and Chuck.
That one, yes.
The wedding between them and whoever did the makeup.
Right.
On Bischoff, you could not tell it was Eric Bischoff at all. Like the swerves out of nowhere are my favorite ones. Mainly because, dude, I've watched wrestling so long. Like, you can tell me a match, and I can tell you more than likely how it's going to go, without even watching the match or who's going to win, and here's why. So, like, when I get those moments of, oh my god, I didn't see this coming.
Right.
Like, I genuinely enjoy it. And I'll tell you right now, the Billy Chuck wedding, I knew something was going to happen, but I did not see Eric Bischoff being the preacher under some makeup and 3-minute warning showing up. Right. That was great.
Tara says there was no love lost between the Hitman and Shawn Michaels. Real hatred. Tara, we actually reviewed that match last night. We actually looked at that one and everything, so we're actually going to go over that one here in a little bit. Screw job.
We do cover the Survivor Series 98.
Without any crowded events, I can't watch it. Yeah, it's I'm sorry,
hard. 97.
Yeah, 97. It's hard to watch wrestling right now with no live audience, but it's somewhat better now that they got the TVs up, so it's not just an empty stadium. So it actually looks like there are people there, even though they're sitting on their couch or sitting at their computer or whatever it is. And they've started piping in the crowd chants and everything to kind of make it sound like the stadium is packed full of people.
Listen, if I hear
that realistic.
If I hear another WWE 2K18-19 piped in crowd noise without playing the game, I'm just going to be like, look, just let the guys talk in the ring and let us hear it. Like, and here's my thing: the whole without a crowd at the events, I kind of enjoyed it more because now I could hear, like, you could hear the back and forth of the guys in the ring.
Exactly.
And they really had to be careful on what they were doing to cover up them walking through matches.
Right.
But I also say if we had crowds in the arena, the Roman Reigns Jey Uso storyline would not be damn near as good as it is because you wouldn't be able to hear that back and forth.
Exactly. You wouldn't hear that. I'm going to whoop the dog shit out of you. You wouldn't hear that.
You love me. I love you too. Crack.
All right, Terry, thanks for stopping in, man. Yeah, it's a crazy shit, man. But it's like, and back to this match,
I was fixing
your typical back and forth. The best part that I like is how Yokozuna sells being terrified of that casket. Like when Undertaker goes, like throws him in the ropes towards the casket, he just puts the brakes on quick and freaks the fuck out, and just refuses to go anywhere near it.
Okay, even before they even touch each other, like one of my favorite parts in this match is when the announcer when they announce everything,
right?
And then Taker does his across the throat and points at the casket, and Yoko just flat on his ass
Right.
in fear in the corner, like, no, I'm
Like,
not dead, no.
Taker didn't even fucking touch him. He just
Like,
like that and points straight to the casket, and Yokozuna's on his ass.
and like, and also to the benefit, you've got Mr. Fuji in the corner, and Fuji's like, no, don't pay attention to it. No, that's not going to
Right.
happen. Calm down. And
Right.
it's like, to me, Taker and Yoko could tell a story without probably even having have to touch each other in the ring.
Right. Exactly. And they
Um,
didn't. They didn't even have to have the casket match. They could have just had a regular match, and it would have sold. But they added
yes,
that extra element of darkness with the casket match in there.
yes. And like I said, that was one of my favorite part. One of my favorite things throughout this match is the fact that, like you said, Yokozuna is selling just how terrified, not of Taker he is, but the thought of him being in that casket,
Right.
which
Exactly.
in turn means he's afraid of the man that can put him in the casket.
Exactly. Right.
And it was really good storytelling throughout that match. And yes, this was 1994. Quality of the product. I mean, don't get me wrong, WWE's product quality has always been through the roof.
Right.
But I mean, when you watch it now, you can see that roughness from the time, and it's like I thoroughly enjoy it, and I also love watching these old matches because I love seeing the red, white, and blue ropes.
Right.
That's just something that will stick with me forever and a day because that's what I grew up on. The ring
Right.
ropes were red, white, and blue.
Right.
Unless you was watching WCW, then they were blue, yellow, blue.
Right.
You know, like that's just how it was. Or actually, at one point they were blue, yellow, and black. The bottom
Yeah.
rope was black.
Yeah.
But it's that's what I enjoy because now you watch somewhere red ropes, black ropes, white ropes, all three, and it's just kind of like the ring. The ring is part of the storytelling, as weird as it is,
Right.
and how your ring looks says a lot about your product.
Yeah.
Um,
What got
like
me? What
my
got me?
favorite.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I
go
was,
right ahead.
what got me is every year for like the last 10 years, and the month of October has been breast cancer awareness month, and the
You
WWE always had pink ropes.
that pink middle rope,
Yeah,
and it
and
wasn't
this
there
year
this year.
they didn't have it, and the superstars didn't come out with their breast cancer awareness merchandise that they usually have and everything, and it makes me wonder like what's going
Now
on.
a
Like
couple
despite
did.
Yeah, it's like despite the fact that COVID is running rampant throughout the world right now, it doesn't negate the fact that people are still being diagnosed with breast cancer and that people
Right,
need to be made aware of it. It's like you don't
right.
skip your the thing you do every October. They just completely blew past it. They didn't even have anything. They didn't partner up with the Susan G. Komen Foundation like they usually do. They didn't make a big deal about donating money. It's like they just completely skipped it this year, and that kind of pissed me off.
Well, see, there was another one that they skipped over that I'm so used to them always shouting around the same time, and that was Connor's Cure.
Right.
And like I'll tell you now, when I went to WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans for 34,
Yeah.
yeah, 34. So me and a buddy went to WrestleMania weekend. Didn't go to WrestleMania. We went to Takeover. But like the whole reason I even wanted to go into the Superstore was I had to get my sister a T-shirt. Oh, I had to get both of my sisters a T-shirt. But I wanted the Conor Obscure bracelet.
Right.
Like I didn't care about anything else. They had an autographed Finn Balor pop for $30, and I was more worried about this $5 bracelet that looks like, you know, because of what it, what it signifies.
Right. What it
It's going to
symbolizes,
help.
what it means.
Yeah, it's going to help kids that are with terminal illnesses.
Right.
Cool. Hell, I bought $30 worth of bracelets.
Right. And they completely skipped over that this year at Mania.
Yeah,
They didn't mention it at all.
Because I bought me one, I bought Casey one. Both of my sisters got one. My adopted mother got one, and I got one for one of my cousins. Like, I bought 6 bracelets. The $30 that I was going to get my Finn Balor, the autographed Finn Balor that I needed to complete my trio here, I spent it on bracelets because, you know what? Cool.
Right.
That me having the trio and one of them being autographed and probably being worth more than $30. Yeah, that's nice. But I'm paying 100% of the proceeds from that bracelet goes to Connor's Cure.
Right.
Fuck it, I'm donating $30 and getting 6 bracelets.
Exactly.
And it did bother me that the pink middle rope was gone. They didn't even mention breast cancer awareness because breast cancer is so close to me. That's how I lost my mother. Now I did see AJ Styles had his pink gear,
right,
which was cool. And there, like I said, there was a handful that did. Ricochet had black and pink gear.
It's like they left it up to the superstar and whether they wanted
to
do it or not.
It was kind of it was kind of left up to them. And when I looked at the shop did have the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Awareness Month apparel, like they always have, but there was nothing said about it. And right. I mean, it's more than likely. It's more than likely, yes, we're in a pandemic. Yes, stuff like that's not brought to the forefront right now. I get that, but at the same time, like you said, every day there's someone being diagnosed with this.
Right.
There's at least one person being diagnosed with this. Statistically, there's probably more than that in a day being diagnosed with this.
Right.
So yeah, this is still, yes, the world's in a pandemic, but at the same time, you want to get technical about it. We've been in a pandemic with cancer for fucking years now.
Right.
So what's the difference between, and this is my opinion, what's the difference between COVID-19 that's killing people and cancer that's killing people?
Exactly.
Nothing. We've been having to deal with cancer since I can remember.
Right.
And it's one of those things like, we've been dealing with this for, like I said, I just turned 34. We've been dealing with this for at least, as far as I can remember, 30 years.
Even longer than that.
And we don't have a cure for it. I mean,
right.
So, and it's doing the same thing that COVID's doing. It's killing people, and there's no way to stop it.
Right. In a year from now, we're going to look back, and there's going to be a vaccine for COVID and whatnot, and there's not going to be nearly as many cases of COVID as there will be breast cancer.
Exactly, or not even just breast cancer, cancer in general. Like,
right.
Where's the vaccine for that?
Exactly.
Exactly. But that's on a whole nother tangent, a whole nother thought process, not wrestling related. We can talk about that another day.
Right. Alright, so
back to Survivor Series.
During this match, a lot of back and forth. A lot of back and forth between the two. One of the keynotes is like towards the end of the match, King Kong Bundy comes out. And you can see Chuck Norris. He's getting ready. He's taking his fighting stance. He's getting ready to fight. Bundy's sitting there. He's running his mouth. He's talking shit to Chuck Norris. The two officials that are outside the ring that are watching over the casket are trying to they're standing between Bundy and Chuck Norris. And what pops into my mind is King Kong Bundy is almost 7 feet tall, 400 pounds. There's these two little refs that weigh probably 150 pounds. There's no way in hell that they're going to fucking stop this guy if he really wanted to go at Chuck Norris. And then you add to the fact that Bam Bam Bigelow comes out and stands next to Bundy and starts talking shit at the same time. And then again, you got two little 150-pound referees between two guys that weigh over 400 pounds. There's no way in fucking hell that these refs are going to stand a chance.
But
against
who's
these
the guy
guys.
that who's the guy that shows up and walks up to Chuck Norris?
Jeff Jarrett, Double
That's right.
J. He
Scrawny,
doesn't even
maybe
walk up.
200 and something pounds.
He fucking
He
charges
struts
up
up.
to him. He struts up, charges at Chuck Norris. Back was a fucking back roundhouse kick to the sternum and fucking kicks the soul out of Double J.
Like, he did a headstand there for a minute. Like, I was impressed.
And while all this shit's going on, IRS jumps in the ring and attacks Undertaker. Puts him in a sleeper hole, puts him to sleep, and dumps his ass in the casket.
So technically, at this point, all Yokozuna has to do is now come to from where he got attacked by Taker, and technically just close the lid. That's
Right.
it. The match is won. He's got to close the lid for it to be official.
He's got to crawl his ass over to that casket and just close it.
But again, it goes back to what made this match so good, and that was the storytelling. If you notice when he goes to close that casket, he is so scared to reach across that casket to grab the lid. Like
Right.
he is holding the ropes with one arm and his legs, and just like fingertipping the casket lid to inch it closer just to get his hands on it.
And when he finally gets his hand on it, he goes to close that lid. Undertaker snaps to and just grabs it and holds it up. And then locks him in a chokehold.
He didn't hold the casket lid on this one. This one, as he goes to close the lid, it zooms out, and Taker is now standing in the casket, and he gets him around the neck for like a choke slam. And then he essentially he does choke Yokozuna out, and then he has to roll this big man into the casket.
The way he ended up doing is he ended up getting a big boot. Like he threw Yokozuna into the ropes, got a big boot on him, and the momentum from the big boot, Yokozuna did a good job of selling this. He took the boot and then basically used the momentum and rolled into the casket. And then Undertaker walked over and closed the lid and ended the match. At that point, with Yokozuna in the casket.
All I'm going to say is what would have made that better, in my eyes, was if he'd hit the big boot closer to the ropes or next to the ropes, and Yoko goes over or through the ropes.
Right. And into
it. Falls in the casket, causing the casket lid to close itself.
Right.
That would have been the ultimate,
right.
The one thing he is terrified of, he calls
right.
it.
And in worst case scenario, you have like a piece of rope or something that's attached to the inside of the casket that when he rolls into the ring, as he's rolling in, he can just grab it and pull it and automatically close the door on himself. Because the way that the casket was so flimsy, you saw those chains and everything. I don't know how the hell the hinges didn't come off of that damn thing when it was open the whole entire time. But that thing, it looked like they literally went into the boiler room or whatever of this arena that they were in and found pieces of plywood and quickly put it together like that.
So the interesting fact about all of the caskets, all of the early caskets for the casket matches, they were actually made by Paul Bearer and Taker himself.
Oh wow!
Like when they did when they were doing the vignettes where he was making the caskets.
Yeah.
Legitimately, him and Paul Bearer did make the caskets.
Makes sense considering Paul Bearer owned his own funeral home and was a mortician.
So like that's why they didn't look like, now when you say you're having a casket match, you've got this nice aluminum steel casket.
Right.
And it's not the pine box like you would see in a Western movie like it used to be.
Right.
But what I liked about them is when you had those casket matches and Taker was making the caskets, right?
Right.
They were always designed for the person that he was wrestling. Kamala's had the star and moon.
Yeah.
Like Kamala had on him. Yoko's, it said, "You will rest in peace," and had the rising sun behind it.
Right.
And there was another one. I can't remember who it was against, but there was another one, and it was an elaborate.
Mankind or Kane? Because he had one against Mankind.
Did he have? No, he had a buried alive match against Mankind.
Hang on a second.
I don't think he had a casket with him.
Undertaker's been in the most casket matches with a record of 11-4. He's had 15 casket matches.
Let's see. Undertaker. Okay, so history of casket match. Oh, this has got to be great.
Undertaker defeated Kamala, defeated Yokozuna.
Okay, so Oh, okay. Rumble of '94 was also a casket match.
Yeah, Yokozuna defeated him in that.
Yeah.
He defeated Yokozuna at
Kama, that's who it was. It was the one with Kama.
Yeah, Kama in your house
and Mabel. Kama and Mabel, they both had special ones.
Goldust defeated In Your House 8, Beware of the Dog at 96. Goldust defeated The Undertaker in a casket match for the Intercontinental Championship. Shawn Michaels defeated him in a casket match at Royal Rumble 98.
Yeah, that's the casket match that Michaels ended up messing up his back real bad on.
Right. That's when he landed on the casket and
that back body drop over the top.
Undertaker and Kane went to a no contest after they destroyed the casket from the inside. That was on Nitro. That was on Monday Night Raw.
That was on Raw, and then Taker and Rock was on Raw.
Taker and Rock, and then there was a Mideon and Viscera defeated Triple H on SmackDown in a casket match.
Kane also beat Triple H.
Randy and Bob Orton defeated The Undertaker at No Mercy 2005 in a casket match.
Oh, there was one before that one.
No, it's his Kane and Triple H, and then Randy and Bob Orton versus The Undertaker.
No, there's one at Rumble of 05, Undertaker and Heidenreich.
That one's not on this list. Because it goes from No Mercy 05 to WrestleMania 22 with him and Mark Henry.
Yeah. Now after No Mercy, there is WrestleMania 22, but before Orton, before Randy and Bob with The Undertaker, there was another Taker casket match.
And then he had two with Mark Henry. He had one with Chavo, one with Big Show. On SmackDown in 15, he had a casket match against Kane. And then he had one at the Greatest Royal Rumble against Rusev.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's 4 of them at TNA.
But, going back to it, it's one of those things where, like, up until I think, like, 90... I think Shawn Michaels, so 99 or 98. Michaels was the last one where they had the wooden casket. And that's mainly... Yeah.
That was only 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's why it wasn't on the list.
But, I mean, it was a casket match, so... But no, like, 98 was the last time that I know for sure they had the wooden box. And I'm almost positive it was the Michaels Taker match in 98. It's the very last one that they had the wooden pine box because of that bag potty drop incident. Yeah. And that's,
There's been a long history of casket matches.
Yeah.
Probably some of the good. I'd like to see one again with somebody else. I don't. Not necessarily going to see Undertaker because I think he's officially retired. So I don't know which route they would take with that. Kane can't do it anymore because he's now mayor.
Mayor of Knoxville, baby.
Knox, Tennessee, not Knoxville.
No, it's Knoxville. It's Knox County. Okay. Yeah, it's Knoxville. It's Knox County.
Right. All right, let's fast forward 2 years. 2 years, 1996. Wrestling's kind of at a lull. The war has like literally just ramped up and amplified between WCW and WWE. WWE, I believe at the time, was leading in the ratings. So Ted Turner has to try and come up with some way that he can compete with Monday Night Raw and the WWF at the time. So he takes advantage of WWE cutting Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and behind the back, without telling any of the other superstars, signs them to a contract with WCW, thus making them dubbing themselves the Outsiders, and they're basically for a month or two, they're wrecking havoc, basically gang jumping anybody that's alone, any group that's in the back in the locker room of WCW. And I remember watching an interview that with some of the guys that were like in the height of WCW days, they literally did not know what was going on. They knew them from WWE, and they were trying to figure out why these two guys are at every WCW show taking over and jumping people in the back. While on camera, they had no idea what was going on. Well, that sets up for the Outsiders versus WCW at Bash at the Beach on July 7th, 96. Hall and Nash come out, they set the match up, they say they have a third man, but they're not telling who the third man is. So, in response to that, WCW sends out Lex Luger, Sting, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. 3 faces of WCW to take on Hall, Nash, and their mystery partner. So the match starts out with Hall and Nash coming out to some generic-ass music. Nobody's with them. There's no third man. They get in the ring. Mean Gene Okerlund gets in the ring and basically asks them, where the hell's your third guy at? And Nash basically says, he's here and he's ready. But we got enough to handle this for now. And then, of course, out comes Luger, Sting, and Savage. And the match kicks off. I enjoyed this match. It was really good. It had its good high spots. It had the spots where it shows both sides, the strengths, and everything. Especially at the beginning when, Nash has Luger in a headlock on the turnbuckle. Sting comes flying in with a splash and ends up injuring Luger, sending him to the back, thus making it a 2-on-2 event. Or as the announcers gladly put it, if the third man comes out anytime soon, it's going to be a 3-on-2 and WCW is going to be screwed.
So, here's one of the things that I really liked about this, right? For one, it was not your traditional commentary style match. It wasn't, they're calling this, split right down the middle, unbiased. This was very heavily all 3 commentators, which Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. All 3 of them, first off, were telling the story of everything that was going on, and they constantly referred to this as the hostile takeover match.
Right. Which
it kind of got dubbed that. It was technically, supposedly, the hostile takeover of the Outsiders. And another thing that I liked was Luger gets knocked out, right? Sting hits the Stinger Splash, takes Nash and Luger out.
Right.
And then everything's going. It's 2-on-2, so on and so forth. And one of my favorite things that... Oh, God, there was my phone. One of my favorite things... Damn, I blew the case up and everything.
One of my favorite things is, oh, damn, there goes my phone.
Yeah, oh, damn, there goes my phone. So, one of my favorite parts in this entire match was when Dusty Rhodes looks and goes, you know what? I'm gonna adopt one of your things, Bobby. Kick a man while he's down. You damn right, kick him while he's down.
Right. What's up, Arctic? Welcome in, man.
I love how the energy between all of them is legitimately, hey, we're in this to win this, because if they win, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. We got to do everything we can. And it's like they said at one point during the match. He's like, well, Luger's gone. And if the third man shows up, that is 3-on-2, He's like, well, we might as well just bring somebody else back from somebody else in the locker room out to be our third man. He's like, why the hell not? He's like, the hell with the rules. Ain't nobody been following all this tonight anyway, so why should we start?
Like, and that's what I enjoy seeing, is that dynamic, that,
and what made, and watching interviews after it, and interviews now, and seeing the way everything was done, the announcers didn't know what the hell was going on. They were told this match is going on. They did not know that Hall and Nash had signed contracts with WCW. So they did not know this entire time, like this month and a half, 2 months or whatever, that was building up to this match. Nobody knew except Hall, Nash, and the mysterious third man and Ted Turner.
No, Turner didn't know. Turner knew that they had contracts.
That's right. Turner gave them free reign to do what they wanted to do.
So the only ones that knew was Hall, Nash,
the third man,
the backup third man, and Eric Bischoff.
Right.
Which, ironically, the backup third man was in the match.
Right.
And I still say, had that been the third man, that would have been amazing.
Right.
But
having that turn on the other two.
That's mainly because the third man that it ended up being, they weren't 100% sure if this person was going to go for it.
Right. And from what I heard, it was a last minute.
It was.
Turner was talking to him about signing in, and Bischoff was talking to him about it. And it ended up being Bischoff that gave this person free reign over his character and free reign over how he gets to proceed with everything.
Yeah, he gave him creative control.
Plus, he made creative control. Like he made in his speech at the end, that billionaire Ted gave him more money and also gave him movies, which he was able to do. So you fast forward through it. There's a lot of back and forth between both sides. A lot of high spots and everything. There's a lot of the stuff that you don't see anymore between the heels is like when Scott Hall locked up Sting in the abdominal stretch, and then did something. Made a motion, did something to Savage, said something to Savage on the outside of the ring, which got Savage to run in to try and break everything up and attack, distracting the ref, and then reaching behind him and having Nash take his hand and pull on him to make it look like he's adding more pressure than what he actually was. You don't see that anymore. And I really enjoy those spots between the heel tag team and the face tag team. Those are really good.
That is by the book, old school tag team wrestling.
Right.
Technically, it's old school wrestling, period.
Right.
Because the ones that make the match are not the good guys. The ones that make the match are the bad guys. It's the heels in the match. It's their responsibility to make the match good.
Right.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those. Hey, if your heel's not doing the right job, your face is not going to come out and is not going to shine.
Right.
That means when they get ready to make that big comeback to do this, to do that, it's not going to be as exciting because, the heel didn't do what the heel should have done and got the heat.
Right.
And make you want this guy to come back and stomp this man through the ring.
Exactly. And you're talking about that not doing what they're supposed to do. We can fast forward to the Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels match. When Shawn Michaels just got pissed off and just said, fuck it, I don't give a damn. And he oversold everything that Flair did.
No. That was Michaels Hogan.
Yeah. Michaels Hogan, my bad.
Yeah.
And he just oversold everything that Hogan was doing. It's just because Michaels got pissed off.
So the funny part about that is, that was one of those things of, okay, well, Hogan wants to be the prima donna and think that I'm not, I'm not someone that he should be handing the torch to, that it should be this person because I've already passed my prime in his eyes. Cool. I'm going to make you look ridiculous.
Right.
Because guess what? Even me out of my prime, I'm still better than you have been. And I'm fixing to show you why.
And that
And like,
match was just comedy gold.
look, that damn big boot, the way he made it looked like he made him go retarded.
It was
He
just
bumped twice for one move.
it was straight up. It was comedy gold, is what that match was, man.
What makes that match so good,
Right.
because he was going out there to make this man mad and make
Right.
this man regret what he chose, but he did it in a way to still make it a good match,
Right.
and that way it wasn't bad for the company.
Right.
He just made this dude look like an idiot.
Right.
And there again, technically Michaels was playing the heel in that match.
Yep.
And he completely had turned them from them not wanting to like Michaels to making them all laugh.
Right.
Like, he essentially turned the crowd to where the crowd was behind him and not Hogan, which is very, very challenging to do because, I mean, let's face it, Hulk Hogan's name is synonymous with wrestling.
Right.
If you ask someone, do you know what professional wrestling is? That's of the older generation. Oh, well, that's that stuff with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. And okay, cool. I mean, granted, now you ask some of like our age, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, you talking like The Rock, Austin, Undertaker."
And you ask the new generation, they're going to say like John Cena and Roman Reigns.
John Cena, Roman Reigns.
Right.
There's those key figures in each generation.
Right.
Now the part to this one was where Hogan drops the leg. Hogan comes out. Oh wait, have we got there yet?
We're actually at the point where Sting is outside the ring. The outsiders both have Savage laid out in the ring. And then
so yeah, this is where
the announcers make they're like, who is that? And the camera pans up and they're like, it's Hogan. And the announcer's like, oh, like, thank God Hogan's here. He's here to set the record straight. And it was Bobby the Brain.
Bobby Heenan. He goes, but hold on, here's my question. Do we know that we can trust him?
Is he here for us? And Shivani's like,
is he with us or with them?
What do you mean, is he with us? Of course he's with us. And then Hogan gets in the ring, and as he's getting in the ring, Hall and Nash dive out of the ring, and then there's some exchange between him and Hall and Nash, and him and the ref about something, and then next thing you know, you see Hogan drop the big boot, or drop the leg drop on Savage, laid out in the middle of the ring. And at that point, the announcer's just like, you son of a bitch. And that's when they make the announcement that Hogan is a third man.
But what I like the most about it is when it happens, Bobby goes, I've been telling you all these years he's dirty. No one wanted to listen to me, but look who was right.
Right.
So it was one of those things where even in that moment, there was still stories being completed that didn't even start there.
Right. Exactly.
Like the whole Bobby the Brain, Hulk Hogan, not liking Hogan, this, that, and the other.
Right.
Now, Hogan goes on to, he drops the leg twice on Savage. Nash comes in and I think counts the 3 count.
Yeah, Hall and Nash both come in. Hogan does his little...
Or no, Hogan counts the pin.
No, Hogan gets on. Hogan pins. He lays on top of Savage, and then Hall's kind of standing in the back, and Nash comes up and does his 1, 2, 3, and then Shivani is like, "Yeah, we're not even going to recognize that 3 count."
Yeah.
And then
but then the promo. Yeah,
Gene comes in.
The promo is cut where Hogan talks about, I've made other organizations millions of dollars. I've made other owners millionaires. I've been
to the top. I've been with the big organization. I've made them money. hand over fist, yada yada yada. And
Like he legitimately says, "Look, these guys came from the place of New York, from the big organization
right,
that I made, that was built on my back.
right,
Made them more money than they can imagine." And then billionaire Ted opens up the checkbook and offers me more money and movies and
movie
this
deals,
and
right.
that,
And
and
that is the point where he
he
gives the name the New World Order, and he almost
well,
fucked. Actually, he did fuck
no,
up.
he fumbled it. He called it the New World. Like the first time, he calls it the New
New
World
World Order,
Order of Wrestling,
right? And then he
and then
turns
the
around and
rest of
calls
the
it
time it's the New
New
World
World
Organization,
Organization,
which was the funniest mess
right?
up of
The
a
New World
promo ever.
Organization of Wrestling.
Um,
And you can see like Harlan Ash just kind of look at him like, really, just screw
I
that
don't
up.
think that's the right name, Hulk.
It's not the name, dude. We're not
Um,
the New World Organization.
but what's funny is, so he cuts the promo and he tells everyone that they can take it and stick it, that it's all about the money and he's in for himself, this, that, and the, like, he does a full-blown heel turn. And it was a great heel turn.
Right.
God, was it a great heel turn,
That
because it
was
had
not
so many
expected.
ripple effects.
Right.
um but out of that match, like, again, we started off by saying how long we've been watching wrestling, since I was 6 months old. And like, there was this point in time where
Let's just say
Puppet Puppet
this.
may not have cared so much about school as he did wrestling.
Let's just say
Um,
this particular promo from this said individual had the effect on enough people that it would turn people that said wrestling is fake to be pissed off.
yes,
And
it did.
I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and I'm going to let you tell your story.
So, okay, Puppet may or may not have cared more about wrestling than just about anything else other than video games at this age. And my grandparents were always very, very, hey, wrestling's fake. Well, I mean, I'm at the age now where, yeah, I know wrestling's fake. This, that, and the other. Um, and it just so happened it was the Monday after this event, and my granddad picked me up from school, and we were talking. I told him that my grades aren't where they need to be because I'm not really doing my homework, because I feel like they have me for so long during the day. Why do I need to take work home and finish at home? I just want to go home and enjoy not being at school, not have to worry about doing stuff that I should have, that should be done in school. So my granddad starts giving me a lecture. And somewhere in the middle of this lecture, my grandfather then tells me, wrestling, da 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 da, this, that, and the other. And he goes, I mean, look at Hulk Hogan, for instance. He went on the pay-per-view and told everyone that they could stick it. And I'm just like at this point, I just stop. And I'm like, what? What does this have to do with me not wanting to do homework? And like, he goes on this wild tangent about this promo that was cut. And in the back of my head, I'm telling myself, I don't think he understands that wrestling's fake. I think that he really thinks this is real. Like, he felt some kind of way about this, and he was upset about this. Like, he was very upset about this promo, which I found absolutely hilarious. And finally, he gets off that tangent, so I go to my room. We get to the house. I go to my room. I look like I'm doing, whatever I need to be doing. And my grandmother gets home. She asked me how my day went, and I said, it was really good until after school. And she said, so did you get in trouble? I said, honestly, I don't know if I got in trouble or not. I said, B was giving me a lecture. And then, in the middle of the lecture, he just went off on this wild tangent that made no sense. So I don't even know what I may have. I mean, I know what I should have been in trouble for, but I didn't get grounded. Nothing got taken away from me. You know, I still have all of my stuff. And my grandmother asked me, well, what kind of tangent did he get on? Did he go off on? I said, I don't know. He went off on this tangent about Hulk Hogan cutting a promo where he told everyone that they could shove it. And he just went crazy about it. I don't know. I think you need to have a conversation with him and let him know wrestling's not real, because I think he thinks it's real at this point. And I'm like, I don't. Well, my grandmother doesn't believe me, and I said, okay, watch this. And I yell for my granddad. He responds, and I said, hey, what was you saying about that Hulk Hogan thing in the truck earlier? And he starts this whole tangent over again. I legitimately look at my grandmother. I said, okay, you have fun with this, because I've heard this. And I went to my room. An hour later, my grandmother comes back and she goes, oh my God, whatever you do, don't say that man's name again. And I'm like, I told you, I think he thinks this is real. And she goes, I sort of believe you. Well, now, back at this time, WCW came on an hour, was a 3-hour show. They would come on an hour before Raw. My granddad decided he was going to browse through the Turner channels. That was a mistake at this point in time, because Nitro started, and the very first thing you see on the screen is Hulk Hogan, and I hear my granddad through the house, son, are you watching this bullshit? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, wrestling, it's on. I'm like, no, mine don't come on for another hour. And he stops and he goes, what do you mean? I said, you're watching WCW. It's Raw. Starts in an hour. I still got an hour to kill. You're good. This man is still going on a tangent about this man in the middle of the ring that just told everyone that say your prayers, take your vitamins. Now he's telling everyone stick it up their ass. And he is just having a full-blown come apart in this house. I close my door. I'm just keeping to myself. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to have this conversation, because I don't know how to tell this man wrestling's fake. But it was so funny, because for years I'd heard, hey, wrestling's not real. Well, right. Yeah, I kind of figured that, I doubt for 360 days out of a year, these guys can do this like they're doing it all the time and it be real. Common sense. Hey, who would have thought? But sure enough, that promo made, man, my granddad was heated. He was in it. And I was trying to figure out what caused him to take it so personal.
Right. See, I got wireless headphones. I took a quick bathroom break and I went to go get me a cup of ice for my drink and some popcorn. I'm in the kitchen, ruffling through the pantry looking for a snack and everything, listening to your story again, even though it's the second time I've heard it, I'm still laughing my ass off at that.
Look, don't get me wrong. I love my granddad, and I loved my grandmother till the day she died. I still love my grandmother. But it's one of those things where I love them because they were so different, right? They were my grandmother would sit and play Super Mario World with me for hours on end. My granddad, I could tell him I wanted to go shoot guns, and he would load up all the guns that he thought would not knock me on my ass, and we would go out somewhere in the sticks and shoot guns until I was content. I want to play. The only sport I couldn't play was football because they thought I'd get hurt. Hey, what can I say? But I played soccer, which I made them learn real quickly. They should have just let me play football. I played baseball, basketball, whatever I wanted to do, I was allowed to do.
Right.
Except for wrestling. Wrestling was the no-go. That was the one thing. No, you're not going to be. I think I will be. I'm not. But later on in life, we had this discussion, and I did bring up this whole Hulk Hogan promo to my granddad again. And I looked at him, and I told him, I said, man, you got so into that you completely forgot wrestling was fake. Don't tell me that you knew wrestling was fake, because at that moment in time, you did not know wrestling was fake, because it was a personal attack to you for some reason. I said, but here's the thing. If I was going to be a wrestler and I did this, I would not want to be one of these guys that everyone loves. And he looked at me like, then what is the point? I said, listen, I would be that guy that's standing in the ring, and the moment the ref turned his back, I would kick the other one in the balls so hard he'd wish he hadn't got in the ring. And then when the ref turned back around, I'd point him in another direction just to kick the dude in the balls again. I was like, the bad guys get to have all the fun.
Right. I
was like, I don't care if these people are going to look at me and tell me that they hate me and I'm a piece of crap and I'm, this, that. Good, that's my job at that point.
Right.
My job is to make them hate the bad guy. Because if they hate me, that means this guy that I'm kicking field goals between his legs, they are in love with and want to see him kick my ass.
Exactly.
That is the whole point of this, is to make this guy look good and them to hate me. Why? Because outside of there, I know I'm a nice guy.
Right.
I'm helpful. I'll do anything to help anyone that I can.
I may kick him in the balls 6 or 7 times in the ring, but when we get done here, we're going out for a beer afterwards.
Yeah. Now, when we get done, and it's Sunday. And he's like, hey, I'm having some issues with this. Oh, hey, no problem. I got you. I'll come take care of it. And I won't kick you in the balls, I promise.
Right.
It's one of those things, like, it's all a work. And right. It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's all a shoot.
Unless you're Eddie Kingston, then wrestling's real. And that's just all there is to it.
Right.
And I cannot wait to do our promo thing, because I'm telling you right now, Eddie Kingston is going to be a dominant figure in our promo podcast.
Now we move on to our next match, and I actually got these matches out of order. I just realized that, because the Bash at the Beach in July, with the formation of the NWO, actually stemmed from what WWE did a month before in June of '96 at the King of the Ring, with Stunning Steve Austin versus Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, I thought they were out of order, but you know what? It's fine.
Right. This match.
This is the birth of Austin 316, right?
Stone Cold, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he comes out. He's already coming out to Stone Cold name, the Stone Cold moniker.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna let you cover most of this one, because I have got to use the bathroom, so I will be right back.
Now, this particular match, Steve's already coming out with the shaved head, the goatee and everything, the attitude. They've already birthed the Stone Cold character for this particular generation. Jake the Snake comes out, and he's already injured from a previous match. He's got a rib injury that they're selling. So you come in, you got a bunch of back and forth between the two. Steve is currently, whooping the hell out of Jake the Snake, basically showing that I'm better than you. There's nothing you can do to beat me, because I'm the best in the business right now, and you're a has-been. About halfway through the match, Gorilla Monsoon comes out to... It goes back and forth on what it was. Basically, they made it look like Gorilla came out to check on Jake the Snake to make sure he was okay. Some people say he came out to, give Jake a chance to get his second win and distract Austin so that Jake could possibly try and win this, because up until now, Jake the Snake has never won a King of the Ring. And this is supposedly his last King of the Ring chance to actually win and be King of the Ring. Welcome back, Tara. MDO was one of the worst things to happen to WCW. Started off as a... Right. Exactly. Yeah, we can go back to that. Yeah, the NWO started out really, really good with what they were doing, but then they started recruiting entirely too many people, and then it became a joke. It became a massive joke when they came out with the Blue World Order, and Latino World Order, and whoever else they had.
Now, side note, BWO was actually ECW.
Right.
Yeah.
ECW. And then they had the Red and Black NWO Wolfpack. Yeah. Now, we go back. You know, Austin whoops the ever-loving shit out of Jake the Snake some more. Picks him up and lands the Stone Cold Stunner on him. Pins him for 1, 2, 3. And then he gets up, walks up the ring to the King of the Ring stage, and I forgot who was up there doing the coronation. Who was that doing the coronation?
Doc Hendricks, aka Michael Hayes.
Right, Michael Hayes. Doc Hendricks is up there, you know, and Stone Cold basically takes the mic and says, you know, first things first, you can start by getting that piece of trash out of my ring. And then cuts the most epic promo I think he's ever had, announcing that it doesn't matter who it is in the locker room, I'm coming for you. Everybody's name is on Stone Cold's list, and he's gonna run through every single one of them. And then as Jake the Snake passes, he turns around and looks at Jake, and he's like, you know, you sit there thumping your Bibles, talking about your Psalms, talking about your John 3:16, and this is where he cuts Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. And that right there was the birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Austin 3:16 era. And I love that one the most.
Now, here's my question. What was the date on this one when it took place?
I just had it up. Hold on. June 23rd, 1996.
Okay.
And then the July 7th was Bash at the Beach. So maybe a week?
So, here's what's funny. Look up the date for WrestleMania 13.
WrestleMania 13?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it was 13.
March 23rd, 97. So that was after.
Yeah. That should be the double turn. In fact, yeah, it would be the double turn. Okay, so you stop and look. So they had marked Austin to be their next big heel, right?
Right.
And then in the course of 6 months, 7 months, on their biggest show, they had to swap their biggest heel and supposed to have been their biggest face in the same match at the same time.
Right.
With Austin becoming the good guy and Brett becoming the bad guy.
Right.
And that all spans from his Austin 3:16 promo.
Right. Especially in the feud between Austin and McMahon or whatnot, you know. That didn't go the way that they wanted it to go. They weren't expecting Austin to be low by the fans when they did that. But then you gotta look at it. Majority of the people that were watching wrestling at the time were working class people. And you bring out this gimmick of this badass redneck who's whooping the ever-loving piss out of his boss every week on live TV. You can't honestly tell me that you never sat there and thought, if I had the chance, I'd whoop the ever shit out of my boss. There's been times that I actually wanted to do that because it's so fucking stupid. So yeah, they had to do a double turn on it.
Oh, I can tell you right now. There's been times where I've looked at my boss at some jobs and been like, if I was given half a chance, I would whoop your ass up one side and down the other of this building.
Exactly.
Now, I respect you, but dude, you're just being a dick, and I'm ready to just stomp a mud hole through you. And that was, like, at the time, that's what Austin was stomping mud holes and walking them dry.
Yeah. Austin sucked as the $1 million champion. I don't think I caught that one, but I never really understood the whole $1 million champion bullshit. Yeah.
So, my thoughts on that is I don't entirely agree, but I also do not disagree with that statement of sucked at being the $1 million champion. Had Austin not been brought in and paired with the $1 Million Man as the ringmaster, and had such a open opinion on hating the gimmick and this, that, and the other, I don't think we would have had Austin 3. I don't think Stone Cold would have ever happened.
It wouldn't have.
Now, the $1 Million champion or the $1 Million belt, that's just a gimmicky prop that they were trying to bring something back from the golden age into the modern times, and it was a complete fail.
Right.
I think they could have done it without including the $1 Million championship. Now, me personally, I love the look of the $1 Million championship because it was different, but it was absolutely pointless.
Right.
So that's why I say I don't entirely agree, but I don't disagree either. Because yes, it's like he's saying, yeah, it was a very bad angle and it was boring because McMahon did not see him. McMahon saw him as a workhorse.
Right.
Like he did not see him as a main eventer. He did not see him as Stone Cold Steve Austin. He saw him as someone who was technically sound and was a good hand.
Right.
Which means I can put him in a match with someone and get that other person over. He can make someone bigger.
Right. Boy, was he wrong.
He's going to be the one that's bigger.
Right.
Now,
like Vince didn't see him as a main event at WrestleMania, walking away with the championship with Mike Tyson in the ring at the same time.
Austin himself is one of few that is both a good hand and a superstar.
Right.
Like he could make someone.
Yeah, Austin was with the WCW.
Yeah.
Before
and that's the whole reason they even got him. Because McMahon always said that Austin was he was technically sound.
Right.
And he could put him in a match with anyone.
Yeah, WCW didn't really have any gimmicks or any real direction with him, so they let him go, and then that's when Vince signed him. And then when Vince signed him,
listen, all I'm gonna say is the Hollywood Blondes is one of the greatest tag teams ever.
Right.
Him and Brian Pillman, oh my god.
Oh god. Rest in peace, Pillman. Yeah. Now, we fast forward after that. Austin 316's running rampant. Now we move on to one of my favorite matches. October 5th, 1997. The first ever Hell in a Cell match. Bad Blood pay-per-view between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Just a match. Shawn Michaels at this time was a European champion. No titles on the line. No nothing. It was just a match. Mainly that stemmed from when from Shawn Michaels beat the ever-loving hell out of Undertaker.
No.
With a chair.
No, it was the SummerSlam, the SummerSlam Heart and Soul, where it was Bret Hart and the Undertaker for the title, and the special guest referee was Michaels, and that's where the
Michaels.
chair shot happened.
Right, that's when
because he aimed for Brett ducked, and he plastered Taker.
Right.
But that's where this stems from. And I will agree, the Rockers was one of... Okay.
Right. Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels.
Here's my thing about this. The Rockers were my favorite tag team when I was little, besides Demolition. But now that I've got older and I've watched so much wrestling, I think had I known the Midnight Express, or no, not the Midnight, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Had I seen them before I'd seen the Rockers, I would have absolutely been in love with the Rock and Roll Express.
See, I always like the LOD.
See, Hawk and Animal, like, we could do an entire episode just on tag teams.
Right.
So, like, as my all-time favorite tag team is honestly actually going to be Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters, or the Horsemen, whatever you want to call them. But Arn and Tully are they're my favorite. That's going to be my all-time favorite tag team. But now on to Hell in a Cell, In Your House, Bad Blood, Taker, Shawn. I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. Always had been. That's why, again, the Rockers were one of my favorite tag teams. I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. Now, to see this structure coming down like it was, and to just be like, okay, this is just an oversized steel cage.
Right.
With a top on it. I've seen something similar to this, only there was 2 rings, and it was in WCW.
Right.
But to know that it was the Undertaker and Michaels locked in this structure to where no one could interfere.
No one could get out. No one's hiding underneath the ring because the announcers made that perfectly clear.
That was the part where it was like, okay, well, first off, they're not going to stay in here, which means this is going to be different.
Right.
2, someone is getting in or out of this thing some way, somehow.
Right.
Now, this was also the reason this is marked as, or marked in our podcast, is because this was the storyline that had a storyline within it of, so Michaels and Taker have this issue because Michaels cost Taker the championship. Right? So, within that, you also have Taker having this issue with Paul Bearer because Paul Bearer is bringing up a
long lost
a brother that survived this fire, and that he knows where Kane is, and that Kane's still alive.
Right, and now you've
got there's a story within a story, right, and it is based
into this match. You've got the story of Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, and then in the background you've also got the Undertaker and Paul Bearer split, and Paul Bearer vowing revenge and bringing up the whole fire at their house, and Undertaker is not the only one that survived. Kane also survived, and I know where Kane is, and everything. So now you've got Undertaker's got to focus his attention on 2 ways, like whooping the shit out of Michaels for what he did, but he's also got to watch his back because you never know when Paul Bearer is going to appear with this. So the cage comes down, Michaels is in the cage, and the usual DX crew. I don't think they were called DX yet.
Yeah, they were DX at this point.
Helmsley, Chyna, and Rick Rude are outside the ring, and then Undertaker comes out, walks his slow ass down to the ring, gets inside the cage, and then they shut the door. And as they're trying to padlock it, you see Michaels get out of the ring and frantically run to the door and try and push his way out. And you've got Helmsley and China and Rick Rude on the outside trying to get their way to where they can get the door open to get Michaels out of this cage so he doesn't get his ass literally killed in this motherfucker. And then the match fucking starts, and it's a brutal fucking match. Like, I don't know, like, when I saw this match and everything, I was like, damn. Michael's getting busted open, you know, they're using the cage, they're doing all kinds of shit. And I remember distinctly at one point that Lawler said something about Undertaker should be disqualified, that because even though this is a Hell in a Cell match, the rules don't specify that he can use the cell as a weapon. Whoa. Where's mine? Where's mine? Alright, there you go. What is that, white queso?
Yep.
Yeah. I love that shit, man.
So, like you pointed out,
right.
I love how Jerry Lawler, nowhere in the rules does it say that he can use the
cage,
the cell as
a weapon.
But, and I think it was Jim Ross on commentary with him.
Yeah, it was Jim Ross. It was the dynamic duo, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler.
So you then hear Jim Ross go, "A king," and the rules it doesn't say that he can't either.
Right. So. It's just the back and forth between the two. It was just great. Everything. It wasn't Terrace said. Sean just sometimes oversold the hits and was bouncing all over the damn ring. Yeah, sometimes he did. Sometimes he did oversell. And he did that a couple times on here, too, in this one.
Yeah.
And it ended up with, what was it? Undertaker did a drop over the rope or something, and Michaels landed on a cameraman.
Oh, yeah.
Cameraman and dropped the cameraman, and then kicked him in the back of the head a couple times, which led to Slaughter coming out and basically demanding that the ref open the door up so they can get the cameraman out. So now the cell door is open, and Slaughter goes in, and you can see him pick up the cameraman and start walking him out of the cage. And about that time, the ref's trying to close the door again, and Michaels comes up behind the ref and is trying to push his way out, but the ref is fighting him to keep him in. And then here comes Undertaker, and at that point, both of them just force their way through the door of the cage. And the funniest part that made me laugh is when they get through, Michaels just barely bumps Slaughter, and then you just see Slaughter just tumble to the ground and like a complete oversell of the fucking bump. I'm like, really, dude? Like, you're a fucking former athlete and everything, and you mean to tell me that just a little tap and you're down? You're like a fucking official, man.
Bro, that old age catches up to you quick. That's right. What it is. But no, and to Tex's point, one of those oversells happened on top of the cage.
Right.
With that back body drop where he back body drops him and he rolls all the way over to the edge of the cage.
Right. Complete oversell. Which basically, at that point, I think Sean had to oversell that, because I honestly think the back body drop was supposed to have been closer to the edge of the cage to make it look like, you know, he hit it and then he almost fell off, but he caught himself. But I think when they did the move, I think Undertaker didn't want to do it at the end of the cage because he didn't want to risk him actually doing the back body drop and flipping Sean actually off the fucking cell and either seriously injuring him or killing him. I think Undertaker moved in a little bit more when they did that.
I think you're correct. But I think it was more the back body drop. They were expecting that structure to have a bounce to it. And that back body drop, when he hit, that cell gave.
Right.
Like, those bars bent.
It bent. Because he hit that fucking... Well, I could see the bounce if the body drop had happened on the actual cage. Like, on the actual chain link itself, because that was flexing a lot.
I think that it was supposed to, and they were just out of place.
This was the first Hell in a Cell tear. This was before Mankind went through the cell at the other one. And I think, and honestly, the reason I think they did the back body drop where it was with Michaels landing on the crossbeams, I think Undertaker was afraid that the cell was going to break. Or I heard in an interview that while they were up there, I think Undertaker mentioned to Michaels, or Michaels mentioned to Undertaker, that we can't do this particular spot right here because some of the chain link had already come apart from them being up there, just from their 500-600 pounds combined weight on it. So I think at that point they had to improvise and they had to shift, and that's when Michaels told him, we're gonna have to do it here. Or Undertaker said, we got to do it here on this crossbeam, otherwise you're gonna go through the fucking cage and probably get killed. So they improvised it, and he hit that crossbeam, and at that point it led to the oversell with him rolling to the edge of the cage and pretty much made it look like he was trying to be frantic to get away, but it was clearly an oversell because of the circumstances and whatnot. But now you got Michaels hanging off the edge of the cage, and Undertaker gets up and walks over to him. And
dude, the three little piggy stomp on the hands was probably, it's still one of my favorite parts in that match.
Three little piggy stomps, and then Michaels loses his grip and falls, 10 feet or so through the table. The Undertaker just looking at him like, well, okay.
Yeah, it's 10 or 15.
Yeah. Gotta climb down and get him. So then he ends up picking him up and then drags his ass back into the cage and back into the ring, and that's when the ref comes over and locks the door. And the match continues for a little bit. This time, Undertaker's got Michaels has already been busted open from being slammed, his head slammed on the crossbeam or something on the ground level. So now they're in the ring, and Undertaker, does he hit him with a choke slam, if I remember? I think he hits him with a choke slam.
Yeah,
he was
setting up for the tombstone.
Yeah, he did his patent cut across the throat to call for the tombstone, and then the lights fucking fade. Lights go out, and then you hear the organ. And back then, nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Now, when you hear the organ, you know what's going on. But back then, you didn't know. So you hear the organ, and then the entire arena just goes red. And then the fire hits, and out comes Paul Bearer with Kane. And, the best commentary is, JR or Lawler's like, who is
you know what? We have that commentary team wrong.
Who?
That commentary team for that match was Vince and Lawler, because it was Vince going, "Oh my God, that must be Kane. That's got to be Kane."
That's got to be Kane. Yeah. It was Vince. Lawler's like, who is that? Is that Paul Bearer? And then Vince McMahon's like, that's got to be Kane. That's got to be Kane. And Kane comes walking down to the ring, gets up to the door, grabs the door, and just rips it off the hinges. And, younger me, when I was watching this, I was like, damn, this dude's fucking strong. But going back and rewatching it, pausing it right when he grabs the cage door, you can see the fucking door is already off the hinges. So while they were focusing on the match with the cameras and whatnot, the crew came out and unbolted the cage so that it would be off the hinges, so it looked like he was actually stronger than what he was. Rips the cage door off, gets in the ring, stands face to face with Undertaker, does his little raise the hands and drop him with the fire shooting out, showing a pyro glitch because one of the turnbuckles didn't even go off. And then I can't remember if he punches Undertaker or if he just picks him up and tombstones him. I think he just picked him up and tombstoned him. And then walked out. And at that point,
he kicks him in the gut and then posts him for the tombstone.
The funniest part was when Kane was holding Undertaker for the tombstone. He turns one way, turns the other way, turns back the other way, and then tombstones his ass. I don't understand what he was doing. I think he forgot which way he was supposed to do it or something. I don't really.
Honestly, I feel like he was probably backwards on which side was hard cam.
Probably.
Because he turns 180.
Right.
And then realizes, no, I was right the first time, and then turns
back and then drives him
hard cam side.
And then gets up and leaves, and then Shawn basically with showing the ring awareness that he has, crawls over and drapes the arm over Undertaker for the slowest 3 count ever from the ref to win the match. And at the end of the match, it shows the cage going up, and then you got Triple H and Chyna and Rude. They come running down to the ring, and they drag Shawn's ass out of the ring and beat to a bloody fucking pulp. They're dragging him up the ramp, getting him out of there.
Now, I am going to say there are 2 more Hell in a Cell matches that I do want to review next time. Definitely. Or at least one of them next time. One of them is Taker, Mankind.
Exactly. Yeah, that was going to be in this one, and it was actually on the list, but I forgot about it. When I made the list and everything, for some reason I swapped out the number 6 was supposed to be Taker Mankind, but instead it ended up being the other match that we left our asses on.
Well, okay,
so I'm glad we did that one because we had to hoot with that one.
Let me rephrase that. There's 3 more cells. One of them, Mankind, Taker.
Right.
I want to do not Mankind, Cactus Jack, Triple H.
Yeah.
And I want to do New Day, Usos.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make a list of all the stuff that we want to do and everything, and then we'll start.
But I also want to do the tag team ladder match of Hardys and Edge and Christian.
Yeah. Oh God, yes, that was
not the TLC. The Terry Invitational Tournament Finals tag team ladder match.
Okay.
But anyways, so
now we fast forward a month. Now we're in November of '97 in Montreal, Canada, and we have Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Puppet, I'll let you take this one.
Listen, I just want to say, I never caught it. I did not catch it until we watched it. The cameras catch both guys as they're walking to the ring.
Yeah.
And both guys... Okay, so Shawn's on the way to the ring. And you hear Shawn tell Hunter, hey, are you going to walk ahead of me or you get into the shot? And then you hear Hunter go, well, I thought we were on this cam. And Shawn goes, I don't know. This one has the red light on, so I'm assuming it's this one. And he goes, I don't even know where we're going. Where do we need to go? And then same thing with Bret. And you've got Bret, Davey Boy, and Neidhart, and one of the kids.
Right.
And Bret comes out, and they get into this open area, and you hear Bret go, hell, anyone know where we're going? So, I mean, it was funny watching them walk because at this point in time, like, that arena had such a big open area leading to where the entrance was.
From where the locker rooms are.
And it clearly was not marked that well.
Right, exactly.
Because you could see, like, everything backstage except for the gorilla position, and I'm pretty sure they repositioned gorilla position for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we start this match off. Michaels gets in the ring and, true heel fashion, he grabs, on his way to the ring, he grabs a Canadian flag from somebody in.
Yeah, and he tries to do that whole stunt again where he gets the Canadian flag stuck up his nose and he can't get it done. And
what's up, Celery?
What's going on, Celery?
Right.
But funniest part for me was the match didn't even start. Like, the match has been going for 20 minutes before the bell even got to ring.
They're just beating
because Bret Hart,
each other outside.
Well, it's not them. It's Bret Hart is just whooping the dog shit out of him through the crowd. The crowd's whooping the dog shit out of him up the
Right.
entryway. Vince is out here like, you got to get it in the ring. I can't count this if it doesn't get to the ring. I'm begging you.
Right.
Get him to the ring.
Officials are out there. Vince is out there trying to get shit in order and everything. You look at the crowd. The crowd's got all kinds of fucking signs. Bret sold out and everything like that.
Yeah, there was the Bret the Sellout Heart. There was Bret lied, Canada sucks.
Right.
There was one sign that said, Bret Hart, #1 Canadian, but it was written like the sign was very poorly made because it
It
looked
looked
like it
like
said
Bret,
Bret Hart, no
no
Canadian.
Canadian.
But like you see all of these signs, there's one that says Bret, we wish you luck in WCW. Like
right.
there's just all these different signs, and it's funny because to see it, like the match was about 35 minutes long.
Right.
20 to 25 minutes of that was Bret literally dragging him through the crowd and the crowd just taking shots
All right. So
at Michaels.
Yeah, the match itself was 32 minutes long. From Shawn Michaels leaving the dressing room, coming down to the ring, to when it ended, it was exactly 32 minutes. Because I noticed, like I looked at the time when they finally got in the ring and they rang the bell for it to start. It was 12 minutes until the conclusion. So there was legit 12 minutes in the ring of the actual match.
Okay, so I'm going to address the chat. So, Tex, you're asking, is this the Iron Man? No, the Iron Man was WrestleMania 12. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. I think it was 12. 96, right? No.
I'll look it up.
See if WrestleMania 12 was in Hollywood. Because if 12 was in Hollywood, then it's 12.
Bret Hart,
I'm pretty sure it was Iron Man match. WrestleMania 12.
Yeah, 12. It was in California.
12, yeah.
It was in Anaheim.
Yeah, it was in Anaheim.
60-minute Iron Man match.
That was the Iron Man match that went into sudden death. That match I will do because it was a significant match. Because that was the match where not just Shawn, but Bret and Shawn proved that smaller guys can do just as good, if not better, than the big guys. That changed the landscape of wrestling as we know it. That will be a significant match that gets reviewed. But yes, that was the Iron Man match. This match was the infamous Montreal Screwjob, the sharpshooter incident. Now, you said it was 32 minutes. The match was 32 minutes long.
Yeah, well, from when Michaels left the dressing room to the conclusion was 32 minutes.
Okay.
And when they got into the ring and the bell actually rang, it was at 20 minutes. So there was 12 minutes of actual match in the ring itself.
So the big part of this is I will say, and I've said I was a very big Shawn Michaels fan. Like Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, is one of the GOATs in professional wrestling.
Right.
One of. There are several. Another one is Bret Hart. No one could go out there and do what Bret Hart could do because Bret Hart was legitimately punching people and no one was getting hurt. No one, like Bret Hart's moniker of I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, that is true.
Right.
Like that's not like in my opinion, I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Bret Hart is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Right.
I say that because there's one person that could have and would have took his place in that statement. And that was his brother. Owen, if Owen had not had the tragic accident, Owen would have blown Bret out of the water. And Bret has said that in interviews. If Owen was alive or had lived longer than he did, Owen would have blown Bret out of the water.
Right. Owen was a damn good performer.
Owen was amazing, and I think had the tragedy not happened, Owen would have got that WWE title run
Yeah,
that
he would
everyone
have.
wanted to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, I just blew up on the screen. All right, hey.
Yeah, I was trying to adjust it because you were out of the box, and when I hit the wrong button and everything, and it just like floop. It's like, whoop, gotta resize. Wrong one. But yeah, and then they got in the ring and everything, and they finally got the match underway. Vince is still outside the ring, and they're high spots back and forth between both of them. Ends up with Brett putting Michaels in the figure four leg lock. And then Michaels reversed it, forced him to break the hold, and then get down to the end where Michaels, what is it he did to Brett? I can't remember what. He did something to Brett, laid him out, and then put him in the sharpshooter.
I think it was a clothesline or a. No, he was doing like Brett would do, and he did the inverted atomic and swept the legs.
Right, okay. He did that. Shawn Michaels puts Bret Hart in his own signature move, the sharpshooter, rolls him over and sits back. At that point, the ref looks at Bret for a second and then calls for the bell that he gave up. And they ring the bell and the match is over. And they quickly give, like, Shawn at that point dives out of the ring and grabs the championship belt from Vince or an official or somebody, and
the official.
And then Triple H comes running out, and they're, Hunter and Chyna are trying to celebrate and everything, and Michael's just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't want nothing to do with this blowback.
So if you look at it, so the way that this was all set up, Michaels knew what was going on. But he was told by Vince, no matter what, you deny that you know anything. Because this is me making this call. So Vince was taking all of the blame for it. So Vince made the call because Brett didn't want to drop the title at Survivor Series in Montreal. He wanted to go on Raw the next night and relinquish the title. Vince was afraid Brett wouldn't do that because his contract was going to be up and his new contract for WCW didn't take effect in a couple weeks. So he was afraid that a Medusa situation was going to happen again, and he could not afford his world title to be on Nitro being dumped in the garbage can.
Right.
Now, hindsight, we all know Brett wouldn't have done
that. Right.
Brett thought way too much of Vince McMahon and the WWE to do that. So, Vince made the call. If Brett's not going to do business, then we're going to do business for Brett. Brett talked to Shawn prior to the match and was like, look, yeah, we've got problems, but I'm going to take care of you out there. We're professionals. After the match, Shawn went up to Brett and thanked Brett for the match. Shawn was in Brett's locker room, which was weird. Vince came into Brett's locker room, and Brett told him, if you're still in here when I get out of the shower, I'm going to knock you out. Brett gets out of the shower. Vince is still in there. And Brett had said, he said, in my head, I'd pictured this the entire time I was in the shower. And he said, for some reason, instead of throwing like an overhand haymaker, I came up with an uppercut. Because if I'd thrown one out and over the top, someone would have tried to stop me. But if I slid one up and under, I was going to connect. He said, I knocked Vince McMahon flat on his ass. And no one came at him, nothing. Vince got up, shook Brett's hand, and Brett walked out of the building.
What pissed me off about this whole thing, they dubbed this the Montreal screw job. But what really pissed me off about the way they had it on the network is they cut out
Oh, they cut out the huge loogie.
Brett's WCW thing that he did at the end of it. You know, they got where Brett spit on Vince, but then they cut out the WCW sign that he made. And
Oh,
after it was over, they just cut it. Yeah, they
see,
had Vince
I didn't see
spitting.
the loogie.
Yeah, they had Brett spitting on Vince. That was still in there.
Boy,
But
let me tell you, I've seen some loogies, but I've not seen a loogie that fucking monstrous and slimy come out of anyone since Bret Hart done that, and that was a damn good loogie.
right, spur of the
And
moment too.
it was like a fucking torpedo,
Right,
and it was like boom headshot. And I was like, oh.
and Vince was just like, oh.
Vince took it. Now,
Vince knew he fucked up.
Vince knew what he was doing. Vince knew what he was doing.
Yep.
And he knew what was coming from it. And I will openly say this. I do not agree with how it was done. But for the man to openly do this and know what was going to happen, and know when this man, who is now pissed off after he's been with your company for 20 something years,
Right.
that you just screwed in what was essentially his hometown, then this man comes out of the shower, not a stitch of clothing on, with a towel wrapped around his waist, and knocks you clean on your ass to know that you're fixing to take all of this and not let anyone stop it, says a lot about your own integrity.
Right. I mean, he knew
Was
he
he
fucked
in?
up. He knew he
Was
was
he in? Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Was he in the right for doing it? No. Did he do the right thing for it because of what he did? I feel like he did, because he took the black eye. He took that nasty, massive fucking loogie. Oh my god,
Right.
that thing had a lifespan. Like it was big enough to have like I'm pretty sure I saw a heartbeat as it went flying through there. You know, like, but and then later on to turn around and openly acknowledge this is what happened. But I do not want to discredit what this man did for my company and put him into the Hall of Fame. That says a whole lot. Man, you walked off at the wrong time. I was just wrapping that up. Okay, well, guys, when Six gets back, we'll continue. Tex, I don't think that's the reason Vince bulked up. I think what was coming after this is the whole reason Vince bulked up, and that was the whole feud with Austin. Because I don't think that he wanted to be in the ring and not look like he was a physical specimen. I honestly think that is the entire reason Vince bulked up like he did. Or muscle mass wise, because it's very well documented that the entire time that he's on the WWE, that Vince McMahon has been very, very gym conscious and always in the gym when he's not working. But I think he bulked up mass wise because he knew what was coming and the story that they were telling between him and Austin, and he didn't want to look small.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
When
it's okay.
When you gotta dehydrate, you gotta dehydrate.
I understand.
Yeah, the reason Vince bulked up to even look bigger than what he actually was leads us to St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Actually, way back at the beginning of '99, when he was really having his feud with Austin at the Royal Rumble, and I can't really say way back then because, I mean, he started his feud with Austin at the Rumble and then carried over into February at St. Valentine's Day Massacre with the cage match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon.
Now,
This match, I chose this one
listen,
for another reason, but
this was the debut of the Big Show.
right, and I was not expecting this to be as funny of a match as it ended up being.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That is. Now you want to talk about oversell? Man, we got it right here. Go ahead.
All right, hold on a second. Let me address.
You lead into.
Let me address chat real quick. Tara says, "I hope for future podcasts y'all shed some light on Shane McMahon's so epic but severely underrated matches. We have one of them on the card."
Bro, yes, we've got one on here, and see me make faces and shudder numerous times talking about no. No, like you didn't even have to say it. As soon as I said no, I pictured it and I heard it. Oh,
we got our last match to review. Tara is actually one of Shane's matches that he had, but
look, I'll openly say this: Shane McMahon is a hell of an athlete. Point blank, plain and simple. He may not have been a professional wrestler through and through, but by God, he was a hell of an athlete, and he didn't care what he had to do.
He was a hell of a bump taker. That was for fucking
yeah.
Yeah, we start this match off. You know, the cage is already up. Austin comes to the ring. Yeah, Austin comes to the ring first, gets in the cage, does his little, middle finger salute to the crowd and everything, and then Vince's music hits. And, Vince comes down in his little fucking muscle tank top and his Levi jeans and tennis shoes or whatever the fuck he was wearing. His whole strut to the ring, trying to act like his muscles are bigger than they fucking are. Gets up to the door and everything, kind of goes like he's going to go in, then steps out, walks away. Kind of goes like he's going to go in, steps out, and walks away. Walks back over, acts like he's going to climb the cage, taunting Austin that he's not even going to get in the ring and everything. And you get to the point where Austin gets tired of it, so Austin just basically runs out through the door, chases Vince around the cage, and then ends up with Vince slides into the ring and then starts kicking at Austin as he's trying to get in the ring. So now Austin is...
real quick. So we're about a year into the feud at this point.
Okay. Yeah, because they said something about previous matches.
The feud had started in '98 at Rumble, and that was when. Well, it started at WrestleMania that year, '98 WrestleMania. But the Rumble set it up because Austin had won. Austin did the double turn,
right.
Where Austin became a face, and then in '98, Austin was in a feud for the Intercontinental title and forfeited it prior to 1998 Rumble, saying he had bigger fish to fry, and he was referring to the WWF title.
Right. Okay.
And he went on to win the Rumble, and that's what started the feud between him and McMahon. Right. So, 98's when this started, so we're about a year into it, and they had numerous matches through there. But yeah.
And what made all of this spectacular was just the banter back and forth between the two. And ended up how did Austin ended up getting Vince out of the cage? Oh, I don't know, Austin was on the side of the cage.
Vince never got in the cage.
No, Vince was in the cage, Austin was on the outside and whatnot. Okay. And Austin went to get down, and when he landed, he jumped on that left knee and then dove down to fell to the ground.
Alright, so it started out Austin was in the cage, Vince came in, or Vince was acting like he was going to come in, closed the cage door and walked around, was taunting Austin. Well, Austin then comes out, Vince goes in, and then you're right.
Ends up with him on the outside, and Austin goes to jump off the cage and then tweaks his knee. Falls to the ground, and the ref comes over and is checking on him and everything, and Vince is watching just kind of what's going on over there, and he realizes that Austin's injured, so he decides he's going to take advantage. So he opens the cage door and runs around to where Austin is, and as soon as Austin sees Vince within striking distance, he just jumps up and nails him with a clothesline.
That clothesline came from that clothesline came from hell.
He just they're beating the hell out of him. Like, he's beating the ever loving shit out of Vince through the crowd, back down, back into the crowd, back down again. He's sitting there, the fans are yelling, are talking to Austin. Austin's sitting there stopping, looking at the fans, talking shit to the fans, talking to the fans and everything. And it get to one point, like, one of the funny spots on the mat is when Austin walks over to, like, the timekeeper. Somebody says, "Get the hell up." Timekeeper gets up, and then he just sits there. Just sits in the chair. Just catching his breath. And then it culminates, like, Vince ends up climbing the cage to try and get away from Austin to get into the ring to try and get some separation. Austin climbs up with him, and they're sitting side by side on top of it. This made Puppet laugh his fucking ass off. But Austin just takes Vince's head and slams it twice on the cage. And after the second time he hit his head on that cage, Vince decides to show up Austin and just fucking bounce off the cage and through the fucking table. And the best part of this is Austin, the look on Austin's fucking face. He's just like...
So, okay. let me just go ahead and say this. The fact that, okay, the first head slam into the cage, it looked aggressive. Vince doesn't really do anything. The second one, same intensity. And Vince just shoots off this thing like he got shot out of a shotgun.
Right.
And, like, when it happens, Austin is still in position from where he slams his head. And McMahon is now flying through the air.
Right.
And Austin looks back and watches as Vince crashes on the table and is just standing at the top of this cage with this look like, well, goddamn, I didn't expect him to do that right now. And then looks back down and he has this look on his face that I'm pretty sure in Austin's mind was like, well, goddamn, Vince, you ain't got to show me up like this. Shit, I'm not doing that. And Austin climbs over the cage and into the ring and is standing on the top rope, bouncing on the top rope like it's a trampoline. Just waiting. And like that, I laughed so hard because that was I did not remember it. I did not expect it, and there it was. And I'm like, why did he look like he just got hit by a goddamn steel chair?
Right. I mean, he took that bump, and then he just went up and took that damn thing over the top and just jumped off that fucking cage.
It was almost reminiscent of Scott Hall taking the stunner at WrestleMania.
Right.
Where he takes it and jumps straight up into the air and flat on his back. And it's just like, well, what? Like, it was you could have slid down the cage and that would have, but not like, look like you just got tossed.
Right, exactly.
But, now, I say all that to say, it was a really good spot. A little overdone, a lot overdone, let's just be honest about it.
Just a little.
But Austin, like that's the one time where you can see Austin is like, I'm not sure how to react to this, so I'm just gonna have fun and laugh.
Right.
And he does, like when he's standing on the top rope, holding to the top of the cage, bouncing, just laughing.
Right.
So it goes from there. They go in, they get the stretcher and all this down. And Howard Finkel comes into the ring, and the ref is going to announce Austin the winner of the match. And Austin snatches this microphone from Howard Finkel and goes, the hell you going to call it on this?
Exactly.
He said, this match never even really, but the bell hadn't rung. This match never got underway. He ain't losing like that. And throws the mic.
Yep. Throws the mic and goes back after Vince.
Well, no. He doesn't throw the mic at that point. He says that.
He threw it at
No. Because he climbed back up the ropes and was standing at the top of before he throws the mic.
Oh, yeah.
He climbs up the top of the ropes and he's standing over the cage and he looks at Earl Hebner, who is in black. He goes, "Hey, jackass in black. Yeah, I'm talking to you."
Is he still breathing? Is that
He
son
go,
of a bitch still
yeah,
breathing?
he goes, is the some bitch still breathing? And he goes, yeah. He said, good, because I got some guarantees I made that hadn't been filled yet. And then throws the microphone.
Right.
So now Austin is on the way out. He walks to the door of the cage, walks out the door, and now they are rushing to try to get Vince McMahon around the ring and up the ramp while Austin is chasing. Okay, Austin's not really chasing them. He's power walking to them. And as he gets to the first referee on one side of the gurney, he just grabs him by the back of the shirt and pulls him out of the way. He grabs the next one and pulls him out of the way. And then he gets to the guys at the top and he goes, I'm going to tell you right now, you can let go because I'm fixing to fuck him up.
And then we have gurney. Yeah,
we have that runaway gurney into the side of a cage.
When was it that he looked at the camera and he said, "I told you that motherfucker wasn't gonna last long"?
So this is before they come in to announce that Austin's going to win. But like you see this moment where he's pacing back and forth from the corners, and the camera guy that is standing in the doorway, he's walking towards the camera guy and he's got this look, and he goes, "I told you the motherfucker wasn't going to last that goddamn long." And he's laughing. And like this is one of those feuds that believable, no. But entertaining, absolutely. And because yes, it's like you said, at that point in time, everyone had that day where if they could, they would have reared back and knocked their boss's teeth so far down their throat he would have shit them out for a week. Mm-hmm. Like, I get that. That's what made it so entertaining, because it was a release for everyone. Yep. But to see how much fun that they were having, and to see how willing Vince was to literally take anything that needed to be done to make it entertaining was amazing. Because listen, all I'm going to say, that first stunner that Vince took, he oversold it. But at the same time, he looked like he went through hell taking that stunner. Right. Because that looked like the stiffest stunner I'd ever seen anyone take, because he went straight down and then started convulsing. The convulsing was the oversell.
Right.
But God, that was the ugliest selling stunner ever.
Oh, God.
But man, did it look like it was effective.
Right, exactly. Made it look like it was a little too effective. But damn. And it's like, you fast forward, Austin's beating the ever-loving hell out of Vince. And Austin, he walks over to the cage. He opens the cage door. No, hold on. Let's go back. So Austin throws Vince in the ring, walks up the steps, climbs into the door, climbs through the ropes. The official is sitting there looking. Like, the official calls for the bell, and Austin just looks down, reaches through, grabs the door, closes it, and locks it. He's like, I'll lock it for you.
No, he doesn't do that on this one. When he first gets him in the ring, that's when he starts stomping the mud hole. It's when he walks out and he turns around and Vince McMahon's spin him off.
Beats the hell.
And he looks. Yeah. And okay, so effectively Austin at this point has won the match. He gets McMahon in the ring. He stomps the mud hole in him. He gives him the stunner. Right. He bounces him off two of the cage walls. Vince is bleeding. Austin walks out the door. Austin is on the bottom ring step. And McMahon is just kind of lurched over on a shoulder. And that one hand, he's like this.
Right.
And Austin
pouring down his face, just flipping Austin off.
So Austin turns around, and you see him mouth, "I know the fuck he's not flipping me off." This stupid son of a bitch. Austin then walks up the stairs, back in the door of the cage, and is Kyoto is reaching for the door. Austin just grabs the cage door by the latch, pulls the door shut, and locks it himself, and then turns and proceeds to go stomp a mud hole through Vince some more.
Captain Insano. I forgot
Oh,
about
look,
that.
we're getting to Captain
We're
Insano.
getting to Captain Insano. You see, and then
But
Vince ends up hitting like a low blow on Austin and climbs the cage. Gets up over to the other side. Austin gets up and climbs up there and just proceeds to beat the hell out of Vince some more, and then pulls his ass back over. And he's like, "You ain't going nowhere."
like, and not like, grabs him by the hair and pulls him over. Like, he beats him, and then he grabs his head and slams his head into the cage door while he's hanging over the top of the cage. Throws his head into it twice, right?
Grabs him by
Over
the
the
fucking
cage wall,
Levi's and
and then
pulls his ass.
grabs him by the back of his pants and just dumps him over.
Dumps
Like,
him
yeah,
back in.
come on, where are you going?
And then it's
Listen.
like some more beaten down and everything. And then Austin climbs over, gets to the other side of the cage, gets almost to the point where he's right at the bottom of the cage, about to get down.
Austin is at the bottom of the cage.
And then Vince
and
gets up on his knees and everything and just
gives him the double birds.
And then you see Austin's
like,
just like cocks his head to the side and just back up the cage.
Austin looks, all right, I guess my day's not done yet. And like, he up and over he goes. He starts stomping the shit out of him again. He gives him another stunner. He's jaw jacking him, and then the camera zooms out, and here's Captain Insano from coming through the ring.
And the part that made me laugh the most about Big Show being under the fucking ring, Paul White being under the fucking ring, is the fact that this guy is 7 feet tall. This ring has got like maybe 2 or 3 feet off the ground. You got this big ass fucking monster that weighs almost 500 pounds under this ring for the whole entire fucking segment. Just sitting there waiting.
No, he wasn't the segment. He was there from the beginning of the show.
Damn.
Like, that's how they hit him before anyone was coming in. He was under the ring already. So he's under this ring from the start of this show until now. Now the ring it's about 4 feet off the ground.
Right.
The only reason I know that part is I've been lucky enough to be around 20 by 20 rings a few times, and they come up roughly about 4 feet up my body from ground to the apron, right? So, I mean, he's got a little room, but at the same time, he doesn't have a whole lot of room because there's cross beams under there. So, from the top of the canvas edge to the floor is about 4 feet. Well, you got to stop and think. Those cross beams are about 2 feet.
Right.
So, literally, there's sections under there where he only has 2 feet of clearance from ground to that beam. But he's under the ring. He comes up through the ring, throws Austin around a little bit, and then McMahon tells him to throw him. To throw him as hard as he can, right? I want you to toss him into that cage. So Big Show picks up Austin, throws him into the cage.
As hard as he fucking can.
And the wall, from the corner, just the wall, that section of the cage just swings on out, and Austin just climbs on down to the ground. This smile, like, has that back.
Holds on to that bitch and rides it in, and let's go. And he's just like,
looks like I'm going to WrestleMania.
And Vince and like Paul White is just pissed off, and Vince is fucking pissed off. Like, what the fuck?
Vince is like, oh my god, what just happened? The one thing I was trying to stop, I just caused.
Right.
So, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of things in this match alone that I absolutely loved and was hilarious, right?
Right.
So there was also things that in this match I was like, probably could have done without that spot. That being said, the match itself was great. Was hilarious. So
The
that
best
that was kind
part
of cool.
the best part about this match being on the list is it's not one that most people would review, simply because of it's not really that big of a match. You know, I mean, it's Vince McMahon getting his ass whooped by Stone Cold Steve Austin with Big Show making an appearance at the end. But what made it great was the banter from Austin during the whole damn thing. That's what made this match what it is to me. That's what made it great. Like when I add this to the list, I wasn't expecting it to be what it is. You know, I wasn't expecting it to be that great of a match. It's just one that I wanted to see. But now that I've watched it and get to see all the spots going on, McMahon flipping Austin off and then Austin coming back in the cage and just I don't know, it was great. It was a great match.
Like I will say this, I think the storytelling that they did in this was great, and I love the fact. Okay, first off, I love the fact that fucking Vince decided to throw himself off this cage like he got shot by a shotgun.
Right.
That was absolutely hilarious.
Right.
And not only that, he miscalculated the distance of the ring table and landed right on the edge of the ring table, spine first.
Right.
First off, let's just talk about how painful that had to be. And
Bad.
then went on to take this ass stomp. Right. Take this ass stomping. And still keep going and stand up.
Right.
All in all, it was a very good match. That being said, the next match that we are going to cover
is Puppet's favorite match.
Shows exactly why every time I sound, I instantly damn near get a headache.
King of the Ring 2001. Kurt Angle versus Shane O'Mac.
Yep, we're going into the third heard round the world.
Right.
As I like to call it.
Oh, fucking A.
Now, first of all, backstory to this match. This was Kurt Angle's third match in one night. Because Angle was also in the King of the Ring tournament.
Right.
And Shane made him compete. The stipulation was the street fight would not happen until Angle was out of the King of the Ring tournament. So, now, that's smart move number one. Because you're going up against an Olympic athlete that, hands down, can wrestle circles around you.
Right.
So, yes, let's go ahead and let him wear himself down. Smart. Like, no lie. Smart. Oh. Sorry, my sister had sent me an interesting flip the switch thing.
No worries.
It was actually Razor. So apparently they're Razor 15,
Yeah.
their laptop, 15-inch laptop, now comes in white or black.
Nice.
And the white, the logo is iced out.
Yeah.
So it's a frosted logo, so the light just makes it glow like it's frosted. Anyways, so there's backstory number one. Interesting fact about this match. Number two that I will actually go when we get to that point. Up until then, I'm going to let Six just kind of.
I'm gonna let you tell this one. I'm looking for something.
Oh, this one. All right, well, first off, it's a street fight, and you can clearly tell it is a street fight. Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon are legitimately whooping each other's ass. There's trash cans, there's steel chairs, there's
kendo
sticks. There's a handicap parking sign that Shane uses effectively. Also goes flying through the air off the ropes with. But in all honesty, like, Shane McMahon shows that he can hold his own, right?
Right.
And shows that, hey, he has an athletic bone in his body. So midway through the match, of course, it's a street fight. Things spill to the outside, right?
Yep.
Well, we're going up the ramp. Shane McMahon Kurt Angle decides that he's going to suplex Shane in the entryway. Which this is that time where WWE doesn't have a ramp. The set is just built on the ground. So they're in this walkway that's just concrete with carpet. That's it. Concrete, carpet. That's all.
Yep.
Kurt's going to suplex Shane. Shane stops it, or blocks it, reverses it, and is going to snap suplex Kurt Angle. In which he does. But if you listen closely, there's this awkward sound when both men land flat backed on the concrete. And it is where Kurt Angle's tailbone is breaking upon landing on this concrete from this snap suplex from Shane McMahon. Now, this is moments before there's a spot where Shane McMahon is getting suplexed through the King of the Ring glass. It was sugar glass. So it doesn't take a lot to break sugar glass. The problem with that is the guy who installed the sugar glass panes had also put a strengthener over them to keep the pyro from busting them. And he put it on both sides. So now this sugar glass is as strong as plexiglass. Kurt Angle has a broke tailbone, and he has to do a belly-to-belly suplex, where you have to utilize your hips. A broken tailbone, that affects your power in your hips.
Yep.
So, if you notice, anytime Kurt Angle did a belly-to-belly, there was never like a push-out, pull-in for his belly-to-bellies. It was always grab and then up and over.
Right.
That's it. Because he had so much power in his legs and hips. But if you watch these belly-to-belly suplexes, there is a very distinct push Shane out, pull him in, and then hurl. When I tell you, there is no sound that gets me as much as Shane McMahon's head slapping the concrete with that sickening shotgun silenced thud. I get a headache. Legitimately, I get a slight headache when I hear that sound. Now, I say that to say this. I bought this pay-per-view to watch this street fight. and heard the thud, and it made me sick. I then went and bought the DVD so I could watch this match when I wanted to, knowing damn well that thud was going to make me sick. I then have watched this on the WWE Network several times, knowing damn well when that thud happens, where it is. Like, I mean, I can hear it coming.
He had a
get
headache
sick
the moment he realized that I had put this match on the card.
like there. And there's a there's a reason why that sound and that makes me shudder like it does. I've had double digits in concussions. I've had 2 grade 3 concussions and contusions from playing soccer or just being my dumb, rambunctious teenage self at the time and being clumsy that trips over my own feet. I gave myself a grade 3 concussion. Grade 3 concussions are not fun. You are completely disoriented. You have a hard time walking. You cannot sleep longer than like 10 minutes or so at a time. Someone essentially has to be there with you 24/7 for about 4 days just to make sure that you don't go to sleep and not wake up.
Right.
They're not fun. You're disoriented. You smell things like, okay, I always knew I had a concussion because I would smell gummy bears. Craziest thing in the world. But I would smell gummy bears. And I would get mad because someone had gummy bears and did not offer me any. But you get this fruity smell, essentially.
Right.
Or a sweet smell. Like you can, like it has something to do with the chemicals and the pooling in the brain that causes the sensation and makes your senses have the sweet smell or taste. It's not fun. Hearing that thud, I know what that thud. I know that thud. I've heard that thud come from my head. So that's why it is so cringing, so sickening, because I know how that feels. Now, granted, my head didn't smack concrete like his did. Mine smacked ground, like grass and dirt. But apparently, grass and dirt can do it too. So, but like, as someone who's had that happen, well, not suplexed and not going through a glass and falling on concrete on the back of your head, just like a shotgun. But as someone who has had that noise happen from hitting the ground, the noise that you hear, like that you hear and feel the concussion from, is like 10 times louder, and it is disorienting. And you can look at Shane when this happens and tell Shane is out. Like, I mean, he's there. Physically, he's there, but he's not there completely. He's not there 100%. I'm not going to say that he's out of it because he was still telling Kurt, I got to go through this.
Right.
So the first one fails. Shane's like, do it again. Kurt's like, my ass is broke. Shane goes, I got to go through it. Okay. Boom. He goes through the second time. So now, like, Kurt's laying in this entryway with this shattered sugar glass that is literally sharp enough to slice them open because it was. Like, Kurt's arms are cut open because essentially that sugar glass had been turned into strengthened glass from that strengthener that was put over to prevent the pyro from busting it. So now Kurt goes over to Shane. Shane's bleeding. I mean, he's bleeding. And as he's picking Shane up, the refs and Vince and Bruce Pritchard are all off in the background, and you can hear Bruce Pritchard say, "Go home, end it." And you can hear the ref saying, "Kurt, we got to get this back to the ring." As he's picking Shane up, Shane says, "Put me through the other one." Kurt's like, "Shane, I'm not doing it." Shane calls him some not so nice words and says, "Put me through the other one." Shane, I don't have the strength. Kurt, quit being a bitch, throw me through it. He goes to suplex and belly to belly again. Same thing that happens on the first one happens on this one, only Shane's body just kind of bounces off this thing and awkwardly falls. So he picks him up again. He's like, "Alright, well, he went through on the second one, I'll do it a second time." Again, Shane's body just bounces. Awkwardly, uncomfortably, bounces off this glass. So finally, Kurt drops the whole "I'm gonna belly to belly him through it." He grabs him by the head and just hurls him through this panel like it was Shawn Michaels throwing Maury Jannetty in the barbershop all over again. He throws him through this panel, and then the ref is like, "Kurt, you got to get this to the ring. You got to pin him in the ring." Kurt literally looks at the ref and says, "Help me get him to the ring." And the ref goes, "No, but get him to the ring." Kurt goes to drag Shane.
That's right, because Kurt tried to pin him up on the stage.
Yeah. So Kurt goes to start dragging him to the ring, and he can't. Like, he doesn't have enough power in his hips, anything like that. He can't drag him. So now Kurt is looking all over the place, and he finds one of those alligator cases, those stage setting cases, and he drags it over, and you hear the announcers, "Oh my God, surely to God, he's not going to run Shane McMahon over with this thing." No, he's not. He's going to get Shane to the ring. So he picks Shane up, and he's trying to get him over this alligator case. With his broke tailbone, knowing that he does not have as much strength as he normally has, Shane McMahon does him no favors whatsoever, and still is coherent enough to be like, "You know what? Just for fun, I'm gonna dead weight him." So now Kurt has to deal with Shane's entire dead body weight and getting him over this alligator case, and push this alligator case with Shane's dead weight on top of it all the way to the ring to get him back to the ring.
Oh, and add on top of that, once he gets to the ring, Shane still does not offer any fucking help.
No, he doesn't. Like, he dead weights him the whole time. They get back
better.
They get back to the ring, and Shane has this comeback. And
hold on. Let's set that one little straight though. He finally gets him into the fucking ring.
Yeah.
Angle
Okay.
goes to pin Shane.
Angle goes to pin. Yeah, Angle goes to pin Shane because he's being told the ref is telling him, Vince says go home now. Kurt Angle goes to pin him. Ref is counting 1, 2. He's on the way down for 3, and Shane kicks out. Well, the ref can't call it a pinfall win because clearly Shane just kicked out with everything he has.
And you can see the frustration in Kurt Angle's face and the frustration on the ref's face because they're screaming in his fucking ear, "Go home, go home, go fucking home." 1, 2, son of a bitch, he kicked out.
So Shane has this comeback from the kick out, hits Kurt Angle with the Angle Slam. Kurt Angle with a broke tailbone takes his own finisher that causes him to land flat on his broke ass.
Right.
He takes the finish. Shane goes for the pin. While they're in the middle of the pin, Shane tells Kurt to kick out. Kurt can't. I mean, Kurt's in there with his boss's son. Right? His boss's son's telling him to kick out. So what are you going to do? Fuck, kick out. You know.
Right. Exactly.
So 1, 2, Kurt kicks out. Then there's this awkward piece of just fucking wood board. Looks like a small desktop, right?
Right.
Shane McMahon, Kurt Angle puts him up on top of this thing, on top of the turnbuckle. Grabs this heavy fucking wood desktop, miniature desktop, and just literally waylays this thing into Shane from behind, and then sets it on across the top turnbuckle, kind of to make a makeshift table. Climbs up there and delivers the angle slam off the top rope. Thank God this board stayed in place, otherwise God knows where they would have landed. Or how they would have landed.
Right. Exactly.
Then goes into the pin. 1, 2, 3. Match is over. Kurt wins. But to be absolutely honest, the only thing people really remember from this match is Shane's head bouncing off the concrete and sounding like a watermelon just plastered the floor. In fact, for the longest time, that was in the kids, please do not try this at home vignettes that used to play before the.
Exactly. These are professional athletes. Do not try this at home.
These are professional athletes. Accidents still happen, as it shows Shane plummeting against the glass head first into the concrete. Like, no.
Like,
yeah. These are professional athletes. He was not.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
He was a crash test dummy that night.
Oh, man.
But yes, all in all, Shane's tough.
Right.
I mean, when they redid the Hell in a Cell structure to what it is now, Shane jumped off the top of that thing. Like, that thing is taller than it needs to be.
Right.
And Shane was like, yeah, fuck it. It's flying, he goes.
He's the one that jumped off of it to land the elbow drop, and the guy rolled out of the way, and he went through the table instead.
Yeah, it was him and Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn pulls Owens out of Shane's body, just plummets through the announcer's thing. And it's like, yeah, like that's a fall off that new cell structure.
Right.
Like, because, like I said, that cell's not small. You can't go up for a power bomb and grab the top of that cell anymore.
Right.
You could. We watched it happen with Shawn and Taker, because Taker goes to powerbomb Shawn and he grabs the top of the cell.
Right.
But you can't do that no more. You can't even touch it from power.
Right.
So 32, he didn't jump all the way from the very top of it, I don't think. I think he jumped from 3/4 of the way. I know at Hell in a Cell against Kevin Owens, he did jump from the very top. But 32 was him and Taker in Hell in a Cell. And I don't think he jumped from the very top.
I don't know. But wasn't that the pay-per-view where Vince told Shane that if he doesn't win against Undertaker, then he has to give up whatever secrets he has or something? Isn't that the one?
No. This was he wanted to keep running SmackDown. And if he didn't win, then he had to give up what portion of WWE he owned.
Okay.
Is what it was. Shane McMahon versus Undertaker.
I had my tank sprung a leak, like my gasket broke.
Ooh,
Yeah, and
that's not.
I can't find the backup gasket. I think I used it, so I gotta change tanks, which has proven to be a bitch right now. Change.
Text, give me 1 second. I'm actually looking that up to see if I'm right, because I'm actually watching that part of that match right now.
Yeah, Shane's taking some brutal.
Yeah, no, never mind. Yep, never mind. You are correct on that, Tex. He did come from the top of that bastard.
Yeah.
And folded himself in half on the landing.
Yeah, Shane has always been
WrestleMania 32, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Shane has always taken bumps. He's always been like a hardcore athlete.
Shane is very much like his father. He will do whatever he has to do to his body for the sake of the
company
story. Yeah, right. For the company and the story and the fans. So all in all, these were moments that we picked out as key moments in wrestling.
Yep.
Now
these are not the only ones. There are hundreds of other moments out there that too many to list in one podcast, to say the least.
Now, I will say, we try to do this podcast every 2 weeks, or do an episode of this podcast that we still really don't have a name for yet. But that's okay. We do it. Me and Six, yeah, me and Six are both very big wrestling fans. And it's just something that we enjoy, taking the time out, sitting and talking, and going over this and going over that. I have an area in my Discord, and yes, I know that we're on Six's channel right now, and I'm sorry, but I do have an area in my Discord that is called Match Requests. If there's matches that you would like to see us review or give our input on, our suggestions on, you are more than welcome to post a link for it in there, or tell us what the match is. If we can find it on YouTube or in the WWE network or somewhere, we'll gladly watch it, right? I'm going to drop the link for my Discord.
Or hell, if you're in here right now and you got something you want us to watch, drop it in chat.
Yeah.
And we'll notate it and we will watch it. And we will throw our observation in.
There is a link for my Discord. There are several things that, like, I made the statement, we didn't even cover the body slam heard around the world. We didn't cover Andre Hogan WrestleMania 3 where he body slammed Andre.
Next podcast.
We didn't cover the Mega Powers exploding. The match made in heaven, the match made in hell. Like, there's several. You're more than welcome to post anything in there. My Discord, Six is a member of. He is part of. Feel free to talk. We will talk about wrestling anytime, any place. That being said, I am Puppet. I really have to go to the bathroom again. Six, I'm gonna let you handle this, and I
Yeah,
will be
we
back
will.
before we close.
All right, dude. So yeah, yeah, I got a fucking tank that blew up on me. So give me a bit. I'm trying to clean up and shit. The fucking vape tank decided to crash out on me. So what other matches you think, Tara? What are some of the matches you think we should do besides those? Bitch, this motherfucker's a mess right now. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna be doing more. Right now, we're shooting for every other week, doing the podcast. The next one that we have scheduled is 2 weeks from today, which is going to be the Survivor Series, I believe.
Yes.
Review. So we'll be doing our review of the Survivor Series pay-per-view with everything that's going to be going on then. But you never know. I mean, if we get enough stuff that we want to do, we may end up actually doing a podcast every week. We may sneak one in on y'all. You never know. I mean, there's so much shit to review right now, and with the shows that we want to see, that we want to do, that we want to watch and review, it's gonna be hard doing.
I'm very adamant about getting AEW.
Yeah, I think what we probably may want to. We'll talk about this off stream, but I think we may want to invest in doing it weekly instead of every other week, or depending on how many we get, we may try and bust out like 2 a week or something. Depending on what we got, maybe do one on a weekend or something. I don't know. I mean, there's so many moments that we want to cover. Like, you want to do the promo podcast, which I want to do too. And then, we still got other defining moments that we want to look into, other matches and whatnot that we want to review and take a look at on the WWE standpoint. WWE, WCW, AEW, whatever there is.
So and this is just to let everyone know, I'm a very big wrestling fan. I don't watch just WWE, WCW, stuff like that. I watch wrestling. I watch stuff from the UK, from Mexico, from Japan. Like, I genuinely enjoy watching wrestling. To me, it's calming. As weird as that sounds, it's calming. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I put on I YouTube wrestling matches and just let the autoplay feature take me down a wrestling rabbit hole. And that's what I will finally go to sleep to. But I'm very big on. I want, like you said, I want to do a promo episode. Because I mean, you've got the Hard Times promo. You've got Macho Man's cream rises to the cream always rises to the top.
Right.
You've got Flair's Space Mountain. You've got CM Punk's Pipe Bomb. You've got promos between Eddie Kingston and John Moxley that happened last week. That was an amazing promo.
Right.
You've got promos from the likes of EC3 that are very, very good. You've got all of these different people. Rowdy Piper, Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake's promos were different because Jake didn't go out and make this big. He didn't inflect his voice. He didn't almost yell. Like Jake looked into the camera and talked.
Right.
And he talked in a tone where it made you feel like something important was being said and you had to listen.
Right. No cocaine
Um,
involved.
yeah,
No running around
like
with coffee creamers in your hand. Great
I'm gonna
delivery.
be absolutely honest. I still don't know where those goddamn coffee creamers came from because there was nowhere that he could have been hiding those things.
There had to
Listen,
have been somebody down below camera level that was just handing them to him.
Six heard me go on a tangent about that while we were on a private like we were all just kind of shooting the shit, and I ended up watching the Cream Rises to the Top promo, and I was trying to figure out where these 7 different coffee creamers came from because he just kept getting coffee creamers.
Right.
So it like I don't know. He tried to balance one on his head. It didn't work. He put one in Mean Gene's, and Mean Gene's label that he ended up pulling back out later. And now that one was a sleight of hand, and it was a really good sleight of hand. But you know, where this man was getting these coffee creamers, I don't know.
You never know. I mean, it's Macho Man, dude. You never know where the fuck he's getting shit.
So, okay, I'm Terror. You're going to hit a subject with me that is really weird, and that's the whole Charlotte Flair being arguably the best female.
There you go, Puppet.
Because hands down, I can argue. Yeah, that. Well, where did he get these things from? But I can argue with some that can put Charlotte to shame. Not saying Charlotte is not hands down one of the best, because she is. But I cannot say that she is the best. Now also I used to not like when I say I enjoy like watching wrestling. There was a time where if it was females wrestling, I didn't watch it. Not because I didn't think that they could. It's not because I didn't think they could do what the men did. That was not the issue. My issue, and I actually ended up doing my when I was in college for my speech class, we had to do impromptu speeches for our finals. My teacher knew that I liked wrestling, and he gave me the topic of female wrestling.
Oh Lord.
And the very first words out of my mouth is, "I cannot stand female wrestling." Followed by, "Here's my reason why." In today's society, they use female wrestling as tits and ass.
Right.
Or they use it as, this is the bathroom break match.
Right.
And to me, that is not fair to the females that are doing this.
Exactly.
Now, up until recently, that's how it was. Now, with, Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, AJ Lee, Caitlyn, with that generation of WWE superstar, I always hated the fact that they called them divas. When they started coming out and showing guys, hey, look, we can do what you can do. Cool. But you also got to stop and take a look. WWE was using it for TNA, like tits and ass.
Right.
TNA, before AJ Lee and all of these people, TNA had Gail Kim, Victoria, Mickey James. They had all of these people, that were in WWE.
Yeah, I would say Terry, you're talking Sable and Trish. You're talking the TNA era.
Well, no. I'm talking like Impact, TNA Impact.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Trish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking TNA era.
Yeah, but Impact Wrestling took them at the same time and they were putting these girls in matches. They were in steel cage matches.
Right.
They were in Falls Count Anywhere matches. Like, they were in matches men were in. And they were holding their own, if not doing better. And this is a good 5 years before the WWE's evolution or Divas Revolution or whatever you want to call it.
Just remember.
Now, I will not deny. Looking at Trish and looking at Sable, those were not. They were nice to look at.
They were the eye candy.
Trish. Now, Trish is one of the few that came from the era where females were used as restroom or as bathroom breaks or eye candy, sex appeal, and could go out and put on a match.
Right.
Trish could, Sable could, Medusa could, Lita could.
Yes, Lita.
China could. Being honest, China could.
Yep.
China was not afraid to get in there and tang. Like she got in there and had a match with Chris Jericho in what should have been probably one of the worst matches on a pay-per-view, and ended up being one of the best matches on a pay-per-view. So, like, I'm not saying that it was always, used like this. Hands down, Charlotte Flair is one of the best female wrestlers in wrestling today. But you have people like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Tessa Blanchard. If you've not seen Tessa Blanchard gives Charlotte Flair a run for the best. And you're talking about this. That's Tully's daughter. All right. Well, Charlotte's Rick's daughter. Tully's daughter is right there. Like, they are neck and neck. She's one of the only females to hold a major company's world heavyweight title. Now, on the backside of that,
that's a good place.
Her backstage politics and attitude hurt her. Tessa does. Charlotte, on the other hand, does not have that issue. And yes, Stacy Keibler, those legs. Ooh, legs for days.
I think we should dedicate a future podcast to go over women in wrestling.
I thought you were going to say Stacy's legs. I was like, I don't think we have enough time in a podcast.
No, go over like women from wrestling from like back in the day to now.
I am all for it.
I think that's what we should do.
Because I mean, you've got a whole bunch of people that you can cover. That's just like, I want to do a tag teams episode. I want to do a part 2, a part 3 of memorable matches or moments in wrestling.
So let's do this. Let's take this from bi-weekly to weekly.
I'm cool with it.
So our next podcast will be on the 16th, next Monday, and we will go over promos, our favorite promos from WWE superstars, and I'll see if I can do some digging to find out how we can.
Here's the question: do we do just WWE superstars, or do we do just promos that had an effect on us?
Let's do both.
Okay.
Let's just cover.
There's a reason why I say that, because there's some Eddie Kingston promos that I'm going to send you to watch. Yeah. That I feel like when you hear them, you're going to be like, dude, how has this man not been signed up until now?
Right. Let's just do all promos. It doesn't matter where they are or anything like that. We'll compile a list. Let's get together tomorrow or Wednesday. Let's compile a list of people that we want to watch promos for, and then we can. What we'll do is in the Discord, we'll post links to those promos, and then we'll get together Saturday or Sunday night and we'll watch them and everything and get prepared for Monday again.
Yeah, I'm
And
cool
we'll
with
go
that.
from there. And then the Monday following the promo podcast will be the podcast for Survivor
Survivors.
Series, and then we can go the Monday after that. We can do another one or something, another favorite matches, or we can just do like a shoot the shit, or like hell, we can fucking get Texas Terror on the podcast and he can reminisce with us about the old days or something. We can work
Look,
on that.
I'm game for like the whole wanting to do a wrestling podcast. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I shared that information with you. You suggested, why don't we do this together? I was all for it. I've had a blast with everyone that we've done so far. Once we get an actual official name for the podcast, by the way, anyone in chat, if you have recommendations for names, we're open.
Yep.
I've always wanted to do this. Like I said, growing up, I wanted to be a wrestler, and then as I got, look,
we're not even gonna go into Virgil on this one because I'm about to have to give the go home because I got a pizza on the way and I am ready to scarf that shit down.
Oh, I don't blame you on that. But like, it got to where I had a car accident when I was younger. It messed my back up. I refused to have surgery. I couldn't do anything in the wrestling business, but I wanted to do something, or I couldn't do anything on one side of the. But like, I've had a love and a passion for wrestling. I don't know. You may not be able to make out what my pop figures are, but I have a Bray Wyatt pop figure, Jake the Snake, Razor Ramon, The Rock, The Ultimate Warrior, Finn Balor. I have wrestling pop figures. Like that's my thing, except for two of them. One of them's Gwenpool or Gwenum, and the other one is Venompool. But like wrestling has been in such an influence on my life. Because it was always my escape, and I just wanted to give back to that. That being said, I genuinely enjoy doing this podcast with you, and I enjoy interacting with everyone in chat. I like to talk wrestling. It's who I am. It's part of me.
And it's hard to find people that will talk wrestling too.
Yeah.
Because so many people are in the mindset, wrestling's fake, I'm not going to bother watching it. They don't give it a chance. Yes, we know it's fake. We're not stupid. But we enjoy the storytelling that goes along with it. And shit.
Now, oddly enough, I can tell you, there's some promos that I'm more than likely probably going to throw your way that are not professional wrestlers, but they are wrestling promos.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, Conor McGregor would have been one hell of a wrestling promo guy.
Right.
Some of his interviews were wrestling promos to the T. Muhammad Ali, wrestling promos. Like that, and that's the thing. Like people look at it, like people look at it as, oh, this is this or this cool. You're a Muhammad Ali fan. What do you think? Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. What do you think that was? That was a wrestling promo.
Exactly. Like Tara says, because the older hands still have fond memories of when we thought it was real. Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're growing up when you're a kid, you're watching wrestling. You think it's real. Even though you get older, it's fake. Looking back and you rewatch all this stuff, it's like, man, I can't believe I actually thought Kane had the strength to pull the cage door off. But you're a kid. You're younger. You don't know what to expect. It's impressive to watch a guy come out dressed in red and black with a mask and grab a cage and rip it off its hinges.
And see, and that's the thing. That's part of why, yes, I wish kayfabe was still a thing, because the younger kids that are watching wrestling need to experience that moment of this is real. I learned on my own if wrestling's not real. But up until that point, I loved it. I still love it. Even though people were telling me, "Oh, that's all fake," I don't care. If it's
Exactly.
fake, it's fake. Guess what? It's entertaining.
Exactly.
As you can see, I'm 34 years old. I have a Young Bucks Super Kick Club T-shirt on. I have a Cody Rhodes T-shirt, a Hangman Page, Aleister Black. Most of my wardrobe is wrestling T-shirts.
Right.
Both of my sisters watch wrestling with me. They enjoy watching wrestling with me because I got them into it. They know it's not real, but they have just as much fun as I do.
Right.
So, I'm definitely cool with taking this going from every other week to every week and being able to do, more subjects. I'm cool with anyone who wants to jump in. We can talk. We can shoot shit about wrestling. We can share fond memories of wrestling. It is what it is. I want people to enjoy this and want to come listen to this because it gives everyone a chance to be on common grounds and talk about something that they enjoy without having to feel like someone's going to be like, "Oh, well, that's stupid." No, fuck all that shit.
Right.
Hey, you know what? You like watching fucking baseball. The same shit happens for 9 innings in baseball.
Right.
Every now and then you get that
shit happens.
Yeah, you get that moment where that batter might rush the mound.
Right.
And I guarantee you if that happens, either there's going to be a drop kick, a clothesline, or a back body drop. One of those three is going to happen in that instance. Guess what? Now you're watching wrestling.
Batter's going to send that motherfucking pitcher to Suplex City.
And it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, exactly, Terry. So,
yes.
On that note, I'm going to go ahead and give the go home because, like I said, I got a pizza on the way and I am ready for that. So, again, I am 617. You can catch me streaming here probably Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday if I feel like it. I play a variety of games. We do the podcast on Mondays. Once Puppet's computer gets back up and running and everything, we will be tag teaming. We will be switching off on the who hosts the podcast. So one week will be me, one week will be him. Once that gets back up and running, until then, the podcast will be hosted here every week. Like I said, you'll catch us next Monday for the next podcast for the promo podcast, and then after that, we'll be reviewing Survivor Series 2020 from the WWE off the network. Tomorrow, I will either be playing Fortnite with Puppet and Rebel Sparrow and maybe Farmer, or I might dive into Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. I don't know. I want to get that in. I've also got Thief Simulator that I want to work into. I got so many fucking games, Chad. It's not even funny. Puppet, you can catch him at twitch.tv/PuppetMaster2191 as well. So we tend to play a lot of games together now, so make sure you drop him a follow. But for now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to raid a good friend of a friend of ours, Phoenix CBRs. We're going to raid Fast Pitch. I think she is currently playing Modern Warfare.
Look, I'm going to tell y'all right now,
stick around,
she throws down on Warfare, guys.
Yep. So, with that, we'll bid y'all adieu. We'll catch y'all later. Make sure you stick around for the raid and show some love.
Exactly.